Welcome to Milk and Mummies podcast. This podcast was created simply because I found myself happily pregnant and self-employed and wondering, how was I gonna juggle it all? Get comfy as we talk all things motherhood, working for yourself, and finding that elusive balance, honestly. We are filming and hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Fantastic. Can you tell us who you are and what you do?
I am Marie, otherwise known as Andree Marie. I'm a hairdresser from South East London, but my salon is in South West. I've been hairdressing for 14 years.
Wow.
I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Woo!
2011, whatever that calculates to in 2024 is what I've been doing. And then I own this little salon in Brixton or Tulse Hill called Maison Style, going on 7 years. And
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm online giving tips about hair.
How are you finding that whole navigation?
Do you know what? It comes quite naturally to me now because
Okay.
I feel like the beginning of hairdressing has always been me filming myself or filming my clients and stuff like that. I have got the most amazing clients because so many people have let me film and showcase the work. And now that I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing before? But yeah, we'll have
Growth.
to start from somewhere.
There we go.
And now I just try to focus on education, educating Afro hair people, Afro-Caribbean, Afro hair, about things that can be done to the hair, things they shouldn't do to their hair, and then sort of like use each and every one of my clients as an example to different calibers of people.
Yeah. I hear you. Are you having fun?
I am. It is very stressful because
social...
before I wouldn't say like, especially on Instagram, it was very more laid back.
Yeah.
Because there were really no expectation. No one was looking for me. But now it's like there's an expectation that didn't used to happen. So now I'm just like, oh, okay, well, the bar has been set.
Okay.
Just have to keep maintaining it now.
Wow. As you said, so 14 years hairdressing, 7 years owning the salon. Are you now expanding? I saw a video about something.
I'm not sure about the expansion.
Okay.
But I'm definitely opening up a bigger space because one of the main things I've always wanted is to have a bigger shop. But, you know, the money couldn't stretch. So we got the place that we could get.
Perfect.
And one of the things that I've always been told and I've maintained is get a place that you can afford by yourself.
Fair.
And then
That's
once you
really
can
good
do
advice.
that, if everyone leaves, you can always maintain it, and that's been the case. But now we're busting at the windows. Like, we need to expand. There's just no way. It's no longer me and one other stylist. It's me and 4 or 5 other people. So I just feel it's a little bit unfair to them to not expand. But I'm still keeping to the same mantra. If I cannot maintain the space that I have by myself, I'm not expanding. So I won't be expanding to 2 shops.
Okay.
I'm going to keep it to 1 sort of flagship bigger shop that can maintain. And then if I can, then I'll do a second one. But don't quote me on that long.
As we put it to audio, never mind. No, it's amazing because obviously I remember when I first met you, and
In my bedroom.
there you go.
Didn't hate my house.
And now, like,
you
have
that
the
was the
shop
saving of the money for the shop,
bro. No, honestly, I think whenever I'm able to chart someone's journey personally, and I've been able to see the growth and the changes and all that kind of stuff, it's always amazing to kind of see where they are. And obviously, you're still growing. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So it's amazing to take stock of your journey where you are right now. And now we add motherhood to the title of business owner. How you doing?
Summer holidays. That's all I've got to say. Summer holidays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk me through it. You're a mother of 2 gorgeous little babies.
Yes, I had my first one 1 year. Well, I was pregnant the first year that I opened the shop. So just after the first anniversary, I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And that year was crazy. And then I had him. And then I had my second child during the pandemic.
Okay. Nice. Not necessarily challenging times, but, you know, big events were happening as each one came, right?
Yeah.
Were you planning your first one? Or
so neither were planned.
Okay.
Even though, you know, how we get there. But it wasn't planned. It was more like we decided that we were happy if we were to get pregnant.
Got you.
Okay, great. Like, we knew that if we were to get pregnant, we would keep baby.
Yeah.
That was definitely on the cards, but we just didn't know when.
Yeah.
And ironically, I found out I was pregnant a week after I got engaged. So we got engaged, and then the week after I was like, well, here it hasn't come. So what is happening here? And then on the 1st of January, 2018, I said, you need to go to Boots and you need to get me a pregnancy test.
Oh, I love that.
Because I haven't missed a period since the age of 13. I've never been a day late. So I was like, this is not normal. The body is like clockwork. I don't have these issues. So please run to Boots. And we need to run as many tests as we can. And then I ran it and I was like, wow. So... But like literally by that time we sort of had like decided a date on when we'll do like certain things, and it was just like, oh. And the salon was barely one. It was, I think I opened the salon like the year that had just passed. So we were probably like 9 months into the new salon. So I just didn't understand what was happening.
Oh, I love that. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
How was your birthing journey first baby?
So with my son, I would say in terms of health, I was fine.
Okay, awesome.
It was very strange because there were all these appointments and all of this stuff. And then when my son was, I think maybe when I was like 16 weeks, when you go for the second scan.
Yeah.
Went fine, and then I get a phone call and they're like, oh, we just want to let you know there's an abnormality. We're not really sure. You need to come back in. So that was like really nerve-wracking because then you have to wait for the next day. And then they were giving me all these different types of scans, but they weren't telling me why. So they were like, we just want to see. And I was like, well, what could you possibly want to see? And being that it was my first child, I didn't know what to expect, what they were looking for. So then I just said, you know what? I would rather you just tell me what you think is the matter. Yeah. And then I can... like that will settle my mind a little bit more. So then they proceeded to tell me that there was like an abnormality they thought in his brain. Okay. And they just wanted to make sure, so they did a 3D scan. Okay. Then I went, and then everything sort of seemed fine. And then I just went on with my pregnancy. Yeah. And then I was maybe 6 months. Then they called me back in and they were like, did anyone ever get back to you about... about that scan that you had? And I was like, no.
The stress.
And they were like, yeah, you need to come in for an MRI. And I was like, okay. I'm having a baby shower in like a month. So, and I'm getting married like next month. So whatever it is you have to tell me, happy times, thank you. Yeah. So, so I went for the MRI, and then we just kind of got on with it. We just decided that whatever happened, we were happy to go through it because it was ultimately too late to do anything about anything. Okay. And then we found out that my son had something called Agenesis Corpus Callosum, which is when part of his brain is missing. Wow. And I don't know, it was one of those things where it was like, oh, it's a rare condition. You don't really, it's normally teamed up with something and blah, blah, blah. And they did all these tests that they had done before anyway. So I knew he didn't have anything like Downs. He didn't have any of those things. Yeah. So now it was like checking what chromosomes were missing and stuff like that. So I then said, okay, well, you know what? I'm happy to go through with these tests as long as it doesn't affect baby. Yeah. But like in terms of my pregnancy, I had a really happy pregnancy. Obviously, I had the aches and pains that normally people have. Yeah. But anyone that saw me would be like, I was getting down on the floor. I was partying. My wedding day, I danced the night away. But that was like the background of what was going on. Is that we needed to find out what was going on. Then they told me he had too much fluid in his head and this and that. And then they took fluid from my stomach. Okay. Because they said that would sort of determine, they would be able to tell me a lot more about it. So we kind of went into this little room where we discussed, like, hey, do we want to do this? Do we want to find out? And I'm a person, I like to find things out. I like to know. Be prepared, right? So I can be as much prepared. Being that it's my first baby and it wasn't his. So I think I'm really, really grateful to my husband during this time because it wasn't his first. So he was very reassuring. He was like, you know, there's certain things you cannot control. You know that, you know, you're going to be a great mother, whatever happens. We're going to handle this together. So a lot of that sort of made me feel a lot more at ease. That's because awesome. I think if we were both first time, we would kind of be looking at each other like what is happening here?
Yeah.
But with him, he was just like, look, when I was born, I had abnormalities and I turned out fine. So you have to take these things as they come, and you just have to deal with each circumstance and each page as it comes, and just have faith. So I was like, okay, we're going to have faith. We're going to pray about it. We're going to be good. Yeah. And this is also one of the happiest times of my life. Like, I mean, weddings and things that bring family together, you just feel so close to everyone. It's a good time. Everyone's there for you. So I felt really surrounded by that time. I told a few of some of my close best friends, and everyone was super supportive. But it was one of those things where you don't know until baby comes.
Yeah,
so it's true. Like, there's no point of worrying about something that you have no control over. So that was like maybe the obstacle that I had to sort of get through during that time. Being also that I was extremely anemic, and no one would have been able to tell, but I was just really, really tired. So yeah, the pregnancy itself, when I think back to it, I always think of that period where I was very anxious, because I was like, I just want to know what's going on.
Course, yeah.
But then once I sort of wrapped my head around it, once we did all the tests and they told me, yes, he has got this thing. And then we were handed over to a pediatrician who deals with kids that have Agenesis Corpus Callosum. And he was like, look, if you are with me, it means it's a little bit more severe.
Okay.
But if you don't see me, you're fine.
Okay.
So he's definitely going to be handed over to a peace team. You're going to be closely watched. But a lot of people, they're fine. And then some people may have balance issues. You would never know until your child comes out. But one of the greatest things is that it's not attached to any other chromosomes. So you don't have any other abnormalities attached to it. But one of the things that's quite common is when you have Agenesis, sometimes it's attached to Down, sometimes it's attached to other things. And I think the mention of I can never get this name right. I think it's hydrocolysis.
Okay.
I think when they have fluid in the head, and some kids have shunts. So I was told there was a possibility because his head was so large in my stomach. They were like, it's full of fluid.
Okay.
When he was born, the fluid drained. He didn't need anything. So then they did an MRI when he was born, like the day he was born, and they were like, yes, confirmed, he definitely does have it.
Okay.
But we won't need a shunt. We don't need to operate on him. He's got a little fatty tissue in his brain. We're just going to closely watch that. But that's it. So you're good to go home with your son. We'll be monitoring him every sort of 6 months just to check that he's hitting his milestones.
Okay.
And yeah, that was like worry done. And I think, when I was finding out about it, I went onto all these Facebook groups.
Of course, right?
Because you're like, okay,
trying to get as much information
every
as possible.
circumstance I just found was not the same. Obviously, it was a community of women that had the same issue or the same diagnosis, should I even say.
Okay, but every child had a different...
Every child was different.
Okay.
Some children weren't walking until they were 2. Some children weren't speaking until they were 4. Some children... So it's so different, but it was a community nonetheless. So it was nice to be within a community of rare disorders whereby I could at least get information, because everywhere I went, no one knew what it was. Even the nurses had no clue what it was. When I say it to people at his nursery, they didn't know what it was, because it's not common. In this day and age, it's autism and other like ADHD, but he doesn't fit into any of those categories. So sometimes they place him with autism because it's just like, well, sometimes things don't connect the same way. So they just place him in that group, and they're just like, oh, well, we're just going to monitor him. We're just going to make sure that he understands things, but they don't actually, but he's not.
It's not based specifically.
Yeah, so he's not being diagnosed as that. So it's just, and he's so young still. He's only going to be 6. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'm going to give him everything I can.
Yeah.
And I still am in the group, but again, I think it's focused on really young children.
Okay.
And a lot of it is like newborns, like the walk-in and stuff, and he's surpassed all of that. So I don't have like a group of people that
based on this age
and
group
it's
that
also
he's at.
Most of them are in the US. So anything that they do have,
it doesn't necessarily
US based.
Here,
even if they meet up, all US based.
Yeah.
So it's not, and even if there's like like groups or help or anything like that, cognitive help for when he was walking, or children that have the same. everything's in the US. There was no one that was based in the UK that had the similar thing.
Yeah.
Even when I go to the hospital, it's not the same. So it was one of those things where you feel quite alone and you're just like, I don't really know what to do. So the best thing I can do is not to worry about it, acknowledge it, not worry about it, and just give him everything that I can. Let his teachers know. I get him extra help at school so that he doesn't get left behind. But he's succeeded in everything that he's supposed to do. They said that he probably wouldn't walk very early. He walked at 8 months. They said he was like, he might not talk for a long time. This boy started speaking at 1 and then
and hasn't stopped.
But then he stopped. He actually did stop. So the pandemic completely stopped speaking for like 9 months. He was, I call it selective mute, and then just didn't speak. As soon as the pandemic happened, just started grunting, and I was like, oh, maybe this is what they were talking about. Then, and I hadn't heard him speak apart from one word, like what I didn't know, like that part of his voice, until one day he came home from nursery and he was like, "Mummy, I want to go to," and I was like, oh, we went from one word.
Wow,
you can speak. Like, I was so shocked. I was like, you haven't spoken for months and we've tried to make you speak, and the best we can get is And I'm talking, I go to his school, I'm like, is he speaking to you guys? They're like, no, we're a little bit worried.
Okay.
Like he was, you know, gradually like saying 1 or 2 words. He had like a collection of maybe 15 words, which regressed, and now he's just not speaking. So we're just going to invite, you know, others in so that we can see if we can help him, speech therapy. And I was just like, but this guy is always singing. I hear him sing. Yeah. So then I recorded him. And he recognizes numbers, like we do an alphabet together. He's like saying A, B, but he won't speak. So which is why I called it selective. And one day I just sort of filmed him in his natural habitat. And then I sent him to the nursery and I said, well, this is what he's doing at home. Because in my mind, I was like, these people are thinking I'm not paying attention to this guy, or something's happening at home and I need to seek it. Or maybe they're not thinking that.
But it started playing on your mind,
it started playing on my mind because I was like, well, it feels like maybe I'm not doing enough about it. So I recorded him in his natural habitat. I recorded him like singing to himself, because he used to sing to himself. I didn't hear exactly what he was saying, but he used to sort of hum and sing to himself. So then they showed him the video of him speaking and playing and like sort of saying letters but not actually saying words, and he smiled at them, and they said immediately from that point he started speaking.
Oh wow,
it's almost like he was caught in a lie. So then from that moment he came home and he hasn't shut up since.
Wow. What was that like though, having that period of silence from him, and then suddenly, as you said, he comes home and then he's like,
everyone was like, I don't understand. Like I don't think he even spoke at school. He kind of smiled and got on with his day, and it was coming up to Christmas. So then we had that Christmas weekend where he came home for Christmas. 3 days after, well, when you come back after the Christmas holidays, and this guy, they gave him a certificate of miraculous turnaround or whatever, because they were like, we have never seen anything like this. Like he came, he was silent. Monday or Tuesday, he comes back from the bank holiday and he's like, I like sports. I like Paw Patrol. Do you like Paw Patrol? What's your name? And all his friends are like, Tam, you can speak. And I'm just like, how did he communicate with these kids? Because
before, of course,
he was just grunting and laughing, and no one even heard him laugh. So I was just like, I don't understand how it's amazing how kids actually communicate together. This guy came home, and I swear, when he spoke, I stopped in my tracks because I thought, you have a husky voice? Because I'd never even heard him speak like that. So I was like, you've got a husky voice, and you know all of these words strung together. You can actually formulate a whole sentence. You're not saying. I thought he was going to come back maybe the way he left off, and then quickly. That's always how in my head I was like, he's going to speak like he spoke, maybe know a few more words, and then we were going to see like a really speedy. No, it was literally like he had held it all in, and one day he was just speaking, and he had sass as well. So I was just like, okay. And, you know, even during that time, he had a sister. Yeah. So I was just like...
Yes, of course. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so, like, no one knew what was going on. It was... I called his dad. I was like, Tammy's really speaking. Like, he's actually speaking... Oh, every single person. Wow. My mom, and I'm African mothers, you must make sure that you take him to the hospital, because why is he not speaking? Everyone else speaks. And I was like, I think he's just taking his time. I think we just need to give him time. He's not ready. What do you mean he's not ready? He must speak. I was like, Mum. And even my mother-in-law was like, you know, come on, he's 3.5, he's still not speaking. This is, you know, it's really worrisome, like what's going on. So everyone was sort of on our necks, and we were like, I'm not worried about him. He understands. And I've always said, if I feel like he understands, if I'm telling him to do something he doesn't understand, I've got more of a worry. But I'm speaking and he understands. If I tell him, get me the remote control, he goes and gets me the remote control. If I say to him, go sit down, he goes and sits down. If I tell him to go and get something, he will get it. So he gets what's going on. He just doesn't want to communicate back. And I feel like we're just pressurizing him because everyone else is doing. He might just take his time to get there. And it just doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong. But that's the thing about that. The day that everyone found that he had that diagnosis, it was like everyone's like, well, you have to diagnose. And I was like, he's already been diagnosed. But it's this thing that's in the air. We don't know what it could mean for him. And I think we kind of have to watch and see. But also whilst giving him love and stuff like that, I've just figured out that my son just doesn't like to do things until he's ready.
Which is also very fair, you know?
And there you go.
How did you find... it's such a... I almost feel like it's a random question. I feel like you kind of said it as well. But how do you find having support but no support? Does that make sense? I guess even from a medical standpoint, I guess, right? Because it's not common enough for everyone to be super informed. So you see your specialist, but aside from that, as you said, speaking to a nurse, say casually, she might not be fully versed or at all versed on the situation.
I mean, like, when I found out, I think one of the things that I like to, well, I'm sure every mother will be the same in this situation. As soon as you find out a diagnosis, you do your best.
Dr. Google.
You do your best to research. And one of the angles that I went with best case scenarios. Rather than worst case scenarios. I'd already seen the worst case scenarios because I was in the group full of different scenarios. So, and I wouldn't call them worst case scenarios. They were just different scenarios, but they were all teamed up with something else. So that something else was normally the thing that ruled the diagnosis. So it was like he has AGC, but then he might have Downs, or they might have so many other things attached to it. So my son didn't have any of that. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what it looks like for you to just have this one thing, and how does that look? And also, I was already told that it's not normal for them to have it. When he was born, one of the first things they told me was, you know, he might have seizures. That's actually a symptom that happens. Kids end up having seizures. So I was looking for seizures. And when you think seizures, you think of someone shaking. But they were like, no, they just go blank. They just lay really still and go blank for a minute or so. You won't know in the newborn. So I spent a lot of the first 3-4 months just watching him to see if he would go blank. And I was like, what does that look like in a baby? It's my first child. It's not like I don't have anything to base this on. So I would just spend hours, and I've spoken to other mothers, and you just spend hours just checking that they're breathing
first of all, yes.
So I would be downstairs like cooking, and then I'll run upstairs and then just put my finger underneath his leg. But okay, he's breathing. Okay, I can go back and do what I'm doing. But he was such a laid back child. He could be left to do whatever. He wouldn't roll, he wouldn't do anything. And he's still very much like that now. That's like a trait in his person. He's very calm, he minds his business. He just wants to know that people are around maybe like once an hour. You might just see him run up the stairs in a panic because he's like, am I by myself? And then he'll be like, I thought you left me. And I'm like, no, I'm just folding laundry. He'll go, okay, back downstairs to do whatever he's doing. So he's always been like that. So even as a baby, I didn't have to worry about, you know, quickly popping out to put the the trash in the bin and then popping back into the house. Like, I didn't have to worry about that. I never did it, but I never had to worry. I knew that if he was in one room, he wouldn't be crying because he couldn't smell or see me in the room. So he was never that sort of child. But to be honest, I think my greatest support has been my husband.
Amazing.
And then second to that, my mum, who till this day has no idea what it is.
Well, yeah.
She doesn't know.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law works with special needs kids.
Okay.
She has also, she's like, I've never seen it, but she's more on me to make sure that I get everything he needs.
Okay.
But she's like, don't label him something that he might not be just because he's been diagnosed with something. You just watch him closely and give him everything that he needs. And that's been a great help.
Perfect.
Because sometimes I think when you get a diagnosis or something, you're like, I need to do this, I need to do that. But what you need to do is just give your child what they need at that particular time. And if it changes, then you swivel and you change. And every mother will tell you every child is different. So with that, you just give them, that's what a mum is, that's what a parent is. You just give your child what they need at what during that time. If they need more comfort, you give them more comfort. And it's just knowing that you're there. That's so once I sort of learned that lesson, especially through the first 3 months, I was like, I can't worry about something that is not even happening. So like I said, I did research and I saw kids that were 10, 11, 12 who had it. I saw adults who had it but had a late diagnosis, like maybe they just found out when they were 30 plus because MRIs didn't exist. So there are a lot of people who just didn't know that they had this diagnosis and they've been living their lives. And then they were like, it makes so much sense why I've always been a little bit awkward, or I just didn't understand certain anecdotes that people understand. So I was like, it gave me a sort of idea of how he may feel, and heavy on the may, because again, you just never know, because he just can't tell me until he can speak and have those conversations. A lot easier now because he's able to sort of articulate if he's not able to catch something. And I get that a lot more. But sometimes I can see like his brain is working overtime. He's not getting something. So you just give him a little bit more attention. So I'm a lot more laid back about it than I was before. Before, I just make sure that his teachers are on him. And I make sure that I give him like all the things that I think he needs. And because he's so good at telling me, it also helps. But then obviously as a parent, you just want to make sure that you have all the access. So all my friends that are teachers, all my friends, I've got clients who work with kids that need a little extra help. I ask them for tips and I make sure that I give it to him so that he can be the best child he can be.
That's amazing.
Woo! I know.
My goodness.
Sips water.
Sips water. My gosh. No, I love that you clearly have a dope support system around you. It is also very easy, I guess, we all know what it's like to have the extra advice and insights from people that you may not need, may not be required, but it still gets chucked in as well. How do you handle that space?
Again, I don't have to say too much because my husband, he kind of puts a stop to things that he's just like, we're going to do it the way we want to do it. Perfect. So I've never had to battle with anyone about anything.
That's great.
Because he just, before I'm even told it's happened, he's put a bullet in it. And he's just like, nah, well, these are my kids. We are going to decide what we're going to do and you're going to follow. This is how we're going to do this because we are the parents. You had your chance with us. All I want you to do is follow our guide. So it's very easy for me because I don't have to do any of that speaking. If someone does come to me and I have my opinions, I'm not going to go. I mean, thank you so much for the information, but I'm not going to go with it like this because it's what when he was born, it was like, this is what you guys use. We used to use SMA and I'm like, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use Aptamil. I had a load of people telling me, you should breastfeed, but you should do it. And I was like, we've already decided that I'm going to breastfeed and I'm going to bottle feed because I don't want to have a child stuck to my breasts. I need to go back to work. I went back to work 9 weeks after I gave birth. So, no, 6 weeks after I gave birth. So I was like, we're not the same. You guys get a year. I get 6 weeks. You know? So I need him to be bottle fed. And then we're going to switch back to breastfeeding at night because that's when I'm going to be home. So it was different. I mean, I got a lot of help. I don't feel like anyone forced any information on me.
That's great.
But I do feel like I was given, like I've got a really good support system. whereby if they find out any information, the first thing they do is they come and like, oh look, there's this happening, would you be interested in this? So it's never really, I've never felt like it was forceful. I've always just felt like it was just people who really care about their grandson, their nephew, just giving information. I don't really feel like I have that sort of energy. Obviously when he wasn't speaking, it was a lot more aggressive. But again, it was like, well, what do you want me to do? There's nothing I can do about it. Like, they're like, yes, you must fight. I'm like, what am I fighting? Am I fighting him? Because if he had a specific diagnosis, would you still be telling me this? So all I want you to do is just, I'm not going with the flow, but there's certain things when they're out of your control, you have to wait for the child to do what they want to do next. If they feel forced, they might back into a corner. They might feel backed into a corner. And I don't want my son to feel like he's ever forced to do anything. But I also want to encourage him as well. So there's a difference between being forced and encouraged. So I used to try and encourage him to speak. And then one of the things that I found most helpful, even though I don't put it online, I always film him. So we've got loads of videos, which he enjoys so much watching him speak. Because there was a point where he just spoke gibberish, and that was like during the pandemic. And I used to play it back to him. He used to laugh so much. I was like, you know what you're saying, yeah. So yeah, it's been quite peaceful. I don't feel like I've got like any stress coming from the outside.
Perfect. That is literally what I want to hear for everybody, because it's tough enough as it is. Thank you very much. Did you always know you wanted to be a mum?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I wanted to be a mum probably until like late 20s. Okay. I want to say like probably around 28, 29. Okay. Up until then, I didn't want to get married. And I did not want to have kids. Because I just didn't know if I was going to be a good mum. Okay. I think that was what was attached to it as well. I didn't know if I was going to be a great mother. I didn't have the greatest experience as a stepchild. Okay. So I was just like, maybe motherhood is really hard, and it's hard to love someone that isn't yours, but also it doesn't feel like something that I want to do. Okay. And I was like, and absolutely, I'm never going to not be married and have children. So if I don't want to get married, how will I have kids? And I'm not really interested in being a single mum by choice. And I say that with the greatest respect, because my mum raised me as a single mum, and I know so many of my friends who have single mothers who are amazing, but it's not something, and I know that their parents didn't choose that life, but I would never just go into it saying the desire for having children wasn't so great that I was like, I'm going to choose to do this by myself. And then I always, I mean, people might think this is silly, but I always said I want to be in love and have a baby out of love. Yeah, so I just never really wanted that. But then I think just maybe before I started dating my now husband, I was like, okay, I could warm up to the idea of being a mum. It feels like something that maybe I could do. I do think I could be a mum. And I don't know whether I'd healed from a certain, because I don't know whether I was working through trauma. I've never really delved into that, but I definitely was like, nah, children, nah, marriage, nah, all too much, all stressful. But I was also a hopeless romantic, and I definitely wanted that, but I didn't want to settle for anything
that wasn't
like I just wanted to be in love with the person that I was with, and I was like, I'm ready for it. I spent years working on myself to be the best version of myself I could be. I knew I wasn't coming with any baggage. I knew I was coming into everything healthy. I didn't have any resentment, so I was like, this is fantastic. I'm coming in with this quite fresh, and I'm hoping that the person that I meet also comes with no baggage or no excess feelings or no situation, because I'm not dealing with that. And I came out of that sort of like 7-year stretch of just being, trying to heal myself really. And once I came out of it, I think I came out the best version of myself I could be. I came out really happy, content, and I was like, right, I want to have all of those things. And I think I'm ready.
You know, just before you entered into all of that, you said you don't know if it sounds quite silly, but you wanted to be in love and make sure your baby's born out of love. Why do you think it might sound silly? That's amazing. I
know, but it just
the goal, right?
But I know so many people that would say, I want to have a baby.
Sorry, fair, yeah.
So many people.
Yeah. So
and you know, I do hair all day, and women are just like, I just want my child. I want my child. Forgetting the man, I want to be a mum. More than anything, I want to be a mother. It's not. I grew up around African, like a lot of my African aunties. I just want my children.
Yeah. Sorry, that was literally my mum's advice. Like, sorry, I always quote this because I'm like, Mum, really? But it's like, they're all bad. Just choose one. They're all bad. Just choose one and have your children.
And I just refused. And I think that was one of my mum's biggest gripes with me. Is that I want grandchildren. I was like, you will not have grandchildren until I find someone I can, and not tolerate.
No,
I want to, because I love my friends. I don't tolerate any of my friends. I don't have a tolerance level for them. They don't, like the people I have around me, I love them. So I was just like, I don't understand how I can have this and I can also not have this in a man. Yeah. Because that's going to be my legal best friend. These are the people that I chose off the street, right? That's my legal one. We're going to have a legal document and he's going to be my legal best friend. Wherever I go, he goes. The money I share, he shares. So what we're talking about here, why would I choose this perfect bunch of people that have grown with me through thick and thin, and I'm gonna go and marry someone mediocre? I don't understand. I don't want to stand for it. If it's not that one, I don't want it. Perfect. So for me, I was like, if I don't feel like that towards that person, at least through the journey that we have together, if I don't love that person, even in a tiny bit, like I love my friends, I don't want it. I'm actually so happy by myself, and thank God I grew up as an only child. So being lonely is not something I'm scared of. Yeah. And also having spent a lot of the times where all my friends were in relationships and I was the third, fifth, fourth wheel. I didn't care because I was like, hey, I'm just friends. Here. Let's go. All friends, girl. You're having a couple's night. Okay, I'll be the games reader. I'll be the person reading the game rules. I don't have to be I was quite comfortable being the fifth wheel or whatever. I was just like, when I go home by myself. And I had really amazing friends because I was still including in a couple. Of course, and things. It shouldn't even feel like a third, fifth, fourth wheel. I mean, I've had friends that have, I really know I'm the third wheel here. And then, but like, this is why I say the people that I chose. There we go. Wouldn't make you feel that way, right? They did not make me feel that way at all. And there's still people I have in my life. It was amazing. Yeah. And when we were single, we were single together. When they were in relationships, it was also fine. Nothing felt strange. So for me, I was like, I love this. I love all of this. So why would I then go and collect one partner because I collected these friends. We met somewhere and we said, we want to be together. So I'm going to collect a man. Okay. Or a man's going to come and collect me. I don't know how it's going to work. But do you know what? And I had friends in uni, boys who were friends, and they were my homies. So I'm just like, I don't understand why it has to, till this day, I don't understand why it has to be different. I know why it's different because obviously I'm doing more with this person than I would. I'm going further with this person. So I don't understand why that relationship shouldn't be deeper. Yeah. Because I share a lot with my girlfriends. They are like a really big part of my world. So I'm like, if this person's supposed to be one of the closest and deepest parts, why? Someone explained to me, and the people that were explaining it to me were not sad. The answers were not. I was not satisfied. I was like, absolutely not. I refused to struggle, right? Because I've spent a lot of time to make this version of me. And like the person I am now, what are you saying to me? Yeah. Just make sure you have. Why would I have a baby with somebody I don't like?
No, thank you. That's
what are you even telling me? It's like love is not for who? Yeah,
I don't want that one. Things that whenever I hear, quote unquote, our aunties, whenever they talk about having kids or the family structure or your partner, it makes me so sad that this is what you believed or were told or you settled for or you think is the advice to pass on to the new and younger generation.
Awful. I don't want any parts of it. I don't want any parts of it. I said, just drop me out of that whole conversation. If it's not, and no, I'm not asking for fairy tale. I'm definitely not asking for fairy tale, but I want to be in love.
Yeah.
I was just like, I want to be in love. I know that every morning I have to choose to be in love with this person. Yep. But let me choose to be in love with someone that I deem worthy. Yeah. Not someone subpar and I'm forcing myself every day to do it. And obviously, I know this is not for everyone. I know, I know everyone doesn't work that way. But for me, I'm too much of a romantic. I'm too much of the person that I am. Mm-hmm. Love means too much to me to settle it into anything else. It's not a job that I go to that I might not be passionate about.
Yeah,
you
but
can
I
quit
might
a job.
I turn up.
Do you know what I mean? I was like, I already know how hard it is, and even then I knew how hard it is to raise a child. My mum left Ivory Coast to come here and raise me. I saw how difficult it was for her. I saw what she had to do. Yep. So I don't know who would choose that.
Yep.
Why would I choose difficulty? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I was like, you choose to work through things that are going to be worthwhile. And yes, for my mum, I'm worthwhile, but my goodness, it didn't have to be that hard.
Yeah. Yes, please. Thank you. Here. I really feel like sometimes I really want to get to the bottom. Like, who started this rumor that this is how it's supposed to be?
I suspect man.
I didn't want to say
I suspect man.
I mean, my God. But,
I mean...
just no thank you. We can choose what we want. I get it.
It's a no-brainer for me. Yeah. It's a 0 out of 10. And anyone who wants to do it, I think everyone can do what they want. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't for me. It's not something that I'm going to go around saying to people, because I've realized as well, different people have different objectives. Right. Yeah. And life looks different for certain people. But for me, I just can't be in a situation where, I just know that I want to be in love, but I want to also know that that person loves me hard, because it's easy for me to give that anyway, because that's just the sort of person that I am. So I needed to know that the person that's going to be let into my life, they have to love me like 5 times over, because what I could possibly give them, because I'm going to give it anyway. And I didn't have a grandma or someone in my life telling me, this has to be this or this has to be that. There was no one. Like, my mum just said, make sure that you love yourself first. And I think that's probably the greatest advice that she's given me. And she's also said never settle. As much as she turned around and was like, oh,
my grandbaby is all like,
do you know what? She was never that mum. I am grateful to my mum for that. She never, she was sad when I was like, Mum, I'm not going to have a child if I'm not going to get married. How do you expect this child to come back? Because it ain't going to be no one night stand. It's not going to be all those situations. I am not that girl. If it's not in a secure situation, I'm not there. It's not happening. Mm-hmm. So I think for her, she was just like, oh, I'm not even going to get I'm not going to go and adopt a child. Oh, I'm not going to go and do all those things. It's not happening. I'm going to be single until I don't need to be. And that's it. So I'm not going to do these things because I don't want to. I don't choose that. I think I can be a good person without these things. So for her, she just found it wild that I was so determined to be like that. But at the same time, I was like, but I do want to be married. I do want to be in a relationship, but where am I supposed to go collect it from? Where am I supposed to go and get these things if the other half of that situation is not happening? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I think she accepted that quite well.
That's awesome.
And then I never heard her say, I want grandbabies and blah blah blah. She said it to me once and I shut her down and she was like, all right, fine. But then I was like, I'm 28, like, what do you want from me? Have this conversation with me when I'm 45. And she's like, 45? Oh, I'll be 60 something. I'm like, yeah, well, that's a good age for a grandma.
It's a good age.
What do you want? I was like, you had me too early. You had me at 19. Of course you're going to feel like it's too old. No. Don't stress me. I'm trying to be a hairdresser out here. It's hard to get clients, okay? So, yeah.
One thing at a time. Please. No, I absolutely do that. Self-realization, self-actualization, knowing yourself, knowing what you want, being intentional. Even from how you've described your first experience with Tam, intentional. And I love throwing the word gentle parenting around because it's also very funny, this whole gentle parenting situation. But I think this generation of mums, I think everyone's trying to be as intentional as they can and specific as they can. I think we've learned whatever we needed to learn from our parents, and they did what they did with the best that they could with what they knew to do. But it's phenomenal, especially with this pod, hearing people's stories. Everyone is trying to be as intentional as they can.
Yeah,
and my gosh, it
definitely
makes the biggest difference, which is dope. What is your most vivid memory birth-wise with either child?
So both children were C-sections.
Okay.
So my son, I'll never forget this. I was 40 weeks.
Okay.
And then when I was 40 weeks, 30, I felt at 38 weeks, I got a phone call.
Of course.
And they were like,
do you want to come
with your
together?
situation
Mm-hmm.
and everything happening around the baby, we've just realised that you are extremely anemic. And I was like, yeah, I'm a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, no. You will need a blood transfusion. You need to come to the hospital. When are you available? I was like, well, I'm on maternity leave. I'm actually in bed.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, you need to come to the hospital and we need to give you an iron infusion.
Okay.
So that when you give birth, nothing happens.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, so that sounds a little emergency-like.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like, I've got a situation that you guys are, again, trying to tell me about. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was deficient in everything, vitamin B, folic acid, zinc, all of it.
Yeah.
So then they gave me my iron infusion drip, which after a few days, I felt like I had some energy. I don't think I was like the highest. I mean, I don't have my records, but I still remember feeling tired. But I just put it down to pregnancy. The whole pregnancy, especially towards the end, as you would know, knocks you for 6. So then I was 40 weeks. And by this time, this is now when my mum started to enter the scene. And she was like, we must walk. We must.
Come on, Mum.
We must. So I was walking up hills. I was walking down hills. I was eating, drinking things that were peppery, pepper soup, this, that. This baby was not budging.
Again, in his
Then
own time.
at 40 weeks, I went in and I got the sweep.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, it's going to happen. Light cramps, nothing. I said, this child doesn't want to come out. 41 weeks. And now we're pushing 42 weeks. They were like, you need to be induced.
Okay.
So the Sunday I was going to be induced. I think on the Monday following, I will be 42 weeks.
Okay.
So they were like, I don't even know how we let you be pregnant for this long, but you need to be induced. So off we went, St. Thomas Hospital, packed my bags. They, so the beginning of the inducing for me was they did a sweep. The sweep didn't work. So then the next thing that they do is they kind of analyze baby, look at baby, put the patches on so they can see the heartbeat. Yeah. So that was happening. I was in this cubicle with maybe 4 other women. And everyone's going to give birth. They're like giving birth. I'm there day 1, day 2. And then they give me, what did they give me? They gave me something and they were like, this should help. Didn't help.
Okay, yeah.
And then they checked. I was, I think, at 1 centimeter dilated. My contractions were like every half an hour.
Okay.
And then they became 1 every hour. And they were like, it's not getting closer. It's getting longer. And, my waters hadn't broken. I was like, girl.
In his own time.
Let me tell you something. This baby feels quite secure. I don't feel much pressure. Yeah. My belly hasn't dropped that much. I don't know what you guys expect. My mother-in-law took one look at me and she said, you're going to have a C-section. It's actually better that they just do it now because whatever they're trying to do, this baby will not come out.
Okay.
And by day 4.
Wow, okay.
So I was 42 weeks and I don't even know, 5 days, 2 days, whatever. And they were like, yeah, we're going to have to induce you by popping, like forcing you to go into labor.
Yeah.
So I went into 4 stages. The first stage, I think they gave me like a sort of tablet that was supposed to help with the pain. So, the contractions were more intense, but again, every half hour I was able to walk around and stuff. Then the second stage is, I can't remember what they did, but it was like, I can't remember that stage. But the third stage is they popped my water. And I had the gas mask. Yeah. And then she came and she popped it. And I was like, oh. So it was painful, but, when you're sucking the gas, it feels amazing. Even I could feel the pain. And then for 12 hours, they left me there. Okay. And then the water started going green. And they were like, oh, baby has pooed in
the water.
But now he has no water surrounding him because they've popped it. Yeah, so now he's sort of in danger zone. So now they put me into the room, and I had this lovely, I can't remember, she was East African anyway, and she sat me down and she said, we're going to induce you, but we're going to fake contractions. Okay. So we're going to speed it along. Yeah. I suggest, my darling, that you opt for the C-section. I suggest you get the epidural and you push that baby out. Okay. Because you're going through a lot, and now you're 42 weeks.
Yeah.
This is a very late pregnancy, and this is when baby starts to go into the danger zone. So I would suggest that you opt for a C-section. Okay. I know you're tired, because by that time I had no more willpower. Right? I couldn't speak. My mum was in the room. My mum had the iPad. She was playing gospel songs and she was praying up and down the room. Terry was tired. He was fatigued because he'd also been going to work and coming back to the hospital, and then also doing whatever he needed to do at home. And it was just like, his baby there? No, he's not. My friends are texting, have you had it? No, I haven't. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Please, everyone, stop talking to me. I'm very tired now.
There we go.
My mother-in-law's calling, and she just held my hand and she said, my darling, please, whilst you're still with us, whilst you're still sane, a C-section will probably be the safest way. Okay. And I said to her, I'm going to try the contractions.
Okay.
And if I cannot do it, I think you should have the C-section. And also remember, I haven't slept in like 4 days by this time. Like, I probably slept 1 or 2 hours here and there. Yeah, but I wasn't able to sleep because the contractions were also keeping me awake. So she was like, you're in pain. And it's been happening for days. Now, I'm the girl that probably makes it so difficult for you guys in the hospital when they say, we don't know you're in pain. My pain threshold level was quite high.
Yeah.
So even though I was at a level 7, I was talking like this. And I was still cracking joke, watching TV, reading books.
Okay.
So it was hard for anyone to know if I was in real pain. But any time, like, Terry knew I was in pain, I'd be like, baby, it pains a little. So he would be like, oh, you're in pain.
For you to actually voice it. Yeah.
He'd be like, oh, okay, what do you need to do?
Yeah.
But my mum would be like, no, I was like, I'm not okay. Because my mum is the opposite of me. One little thing, she's like, oh, God, I'm dying. What is happening? Whereas me, I'm just like, it's just a bit of cramp.
Yeah.
And I'll close my eyes and I'll be like, oh. And he was like, oh, no, she's in pain. We need to. And obviously, it's hard for anyone to be like, well, this is so calm.
Yeah.
She's just taking it by her stride. So then I think by this point, after them doing these fake contractions for, I think, 4 hours, and they were coming every 2 minutes for 4 hours. By the like, I said, I can't. I don't think I can do this anymore. Because Terry was holding me and I was like, I'm so tired and I'm in so much pain. They're excruciating. Because she was like, the contractions are worse than what a normal contraction would be.
Yeah.
And this child was in a Superman position, all right? And when we checked, I was 2 centimeters dilated. After all of that flipping
and all the
pushing, and I was still 2 centimeters dilated. Okay. And she was just like, so I said, you know what? Call the man. I want the epidural. I don't want to feel anything anymore. You lot can do all of the contractions, but I'm done. Okay. Epidural, please. So then I got the epidural. When I got the epidural, I stopped feeling anything. And I actually got some sleep.
Yeah.
I woke up. The night nurse had gone. It was the 19th of September. I woke up and all I heard was this like loads of doctors like coming in, and they were like, the baby's in distress. His heart's, and then I kind of heard it as a backlog. Like, me and Terry were sleeping, so he was in the room, but he was like rolled up in a sleeping bag next to me. And my mum also was kind of asleep, but she was, every time the doctors were in the room, we made a pact as a threesome. Someone has to be awake.
Sure.
I don't know why it ended up being my mother. Okay. Because my mum is the best and worst person to have in a situation like that. Because she's the person that will faint. Okay. She sees blood, she's gonna drop. Mm-hmm. She's not the strongest soldier. She's no one's strongest soldier. But at the same time, she's the person you want in the room, because she's gonna give you kisses. She's so nice. So I was just like, I don't know how my mum ended up being the person that was around with the panic. But she was like, Andree, you need to wake up. They're saying that the baby's in distress. So I was like, okay. So Terry and I wake up, and then they're like, you need to put on, he had to put on the little gown and the hat and whatever. Yeah. They're like, we're going to take you for an emergency C-section because baby's in distress. You've got your epidural, so we're good to go. We're just going to top it up a little bit, but you're going to have the baby like in the next half hour. So when I woke up, it was just fast. So I was just like, oh, okay. Where's my nurse? I was like, I'm the handover. That was a night nurse. Yeah. the new person. I'm doctor. I can't even remember her name. And off we went to the theatre. And I think we went in at 9. He was born at like 9:38.
Wow. Yeah.
So when he came out, you know, did you have a C-section?
No.
So when you have a C-section, they
have
like a little
right?
sheet in front of you so that you and your partner cannot see. I mean, he could choose to see, but he was just like holding my hand and like kissing me and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, it feels like someone's kind of I can feel them cutting me, but I can't feel
the pain, right?
The pain. But then I can feel them like getting baby out. And then I was like, okay, he's out because I feel empty. And then
that must have been so surreal.
Yeah, it was very strange. But you know what? I feel like I was having an out of body experience. And then the whole room was silent because you're waiting for him to make noise. Yeah. And this boy, chilled as ever, they said he doesn't want to come out. When they were reaching for him, they said he kept on shrinking back.
Oh, did he?
And then when they took him out, he went, eh! And that was it. That was him Nina crying. Yeah. And he just got shipped to, obviously, they had to check it, like wipe me clean and stuff like that. And then they came and put him on my breast. And it was just like, I was looking at him and I was like, oh. Well, I knew what the pregnancy was, but I didn't know this was going to be the outcome. So I didn't cry or anything. I just kept on staring at him. And then, like, I see Terry welling up and he starts, my son. And I'm like, huh? Okay. This is nice. Have a baby. Lovely. We're going to call you Terry. Yeah. Okay. That's all I remember. Then I remember going back in to the room, and I had this amazing nurse that was, her whole dedication was letting me know. She was like, you're going to breastfeed, but you need to bottle feed. And I'm so glad everyone told me this thing. She was like, you're going to breastfeed and you're going to bottle feed, because then it just means that you're going to have so much help. And then she was like, but I'm going to show you how to breastfeed properly so you're not in pain.
Perfect.
And I'll tell you something very strange that happened to me during pregnancy. I grew a third nipple.
Oh.
And it was the strangest thing because no one knew what it was.
What?
It was just this extra nipple that grew on top of my nipple. And it was almost like I grew moles during my pregnancy. All over my body. I remember someone saying that was a thing, but I had like this long mole that just grew on my face. I had one that grew on as an extra piece of, and it literally looked like another nipple. It was so strange, like a little piece of nipple that grew next to my nipple.
When I say to you, pregnancy does the most weirdest and most weirdest things to you.
The strangest thing in the world.
What?
And then as soon as I gave birth, it filled up with blood and became the most painful. It was almost like a extra blood vessel that had grown out. It was the most painful thing. And then it filled with blood. Everyone was looking at it like, he could not suck anything from this breast. So even though I had this thing, it's like I couldn't burst it because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
It had its own life supply. And then he obviously, the breast.
Shit.
He was sucking, and that was his favourite breast.
Oh, of course it was.
So obviously it wasn't painful, but once he left it, it was like it had its own heartbeat. And maybe a week after I gave birth to him, it popped. Oh my God, it was the most painful thing ever.
Wow. I've never heard of this before. What?
Disappeared like it never came. Breast nipple went back to normal.
Fine.
I've never seen it again. Didn't happen with my second born. No, I haven't. But I still got exactly the same moles in exactly the same place as I did with my second one.
Wow.
And I tell you, that mole, everyone would be like, oh, you got something in your face. And kept on flicking it. I was like, girl,
don't touch me.
Pregnancy. Stop touching my friend kept on doing it. She'll be like, oh my God, why'd you keep? And she'll flick it. And I'm like, girl,
get off me.
It's a mole. It's just a mole.
Oh,
and I had them, it came around my eye. Like, these moles came and went. Pregnancy, that was like the weirdest thing. With that pregnancy, that mole was the enigma of that whole pregnancy.
That's a good weird story. That's a good weird.
Done. And then after that, I had no problems.
No problems. Again.
It disappeared, shrunk, like gone. It like popped off. Like, we were talking about having it frozen.
Oh, yeah, so of course. Yeah.
Because they were like, it's just, I don't know what it is. I was like, but you do this for a living, so have a look. And they'll look at it, and they'll look at each other, and they'll be like, I don't recognize
How did you manage that whole stance where they just don't? Because they're meant to be, all the air quotes.
Listen, I was used to
the information.
I'm used to it. I was used to it at that point because no one knew what he had, and now no one knew. So even when I was like, he's diagnosed, and they were like, okay, he's diagnosed with Agenesis Corpus Callosum. okay, so what did they say? I said, I don't know. You must know. And they were like, we're just going to put this on the records. I was like, okay. So what does that mean for me? Does it affect you? I said, I don't know. You people diagnosed me. I've had all of these tests. You told me when I came out of this surgery, me and baby had an infection. We had to stay in the hospital for a week. Now I've got a third nipple. We don't know what to do with that. I can't walk because I've had a C-section. So I'm here crouching along. I'm in a room with people arguing. There was like a cubicle number 6 that were having their debacle. That's my baby. No, it's not. Listen.
Are you joking?
It was a whole... Anyone that came to my first pregnancy, jokes. Me and Terry, we sat there. There was a couple down the road. Not down the road. Our neighbour. He was having a madness with her baby father. And we were EastEnders, ears to the ground. So you have to keep your ears to the ground. When I'm sleeping, you better tell me what's happening between them two, okay? And it was like the talk. They were there with me because I was at the hospital for a week. So I think that's one thing I appreciated as well, because I was at the hospital for so long after having him. So because of that, I think he came home when he was 6. We came home when he was 6 days. So I didn't have to, like, you know, when you have a C-section, 24 hours later you can go home. Was it 48? I can't remember. But with that, I didn't have to do anything. Like by that time, the pain had sort of settled a little bit more. But I remember driving home. Let me even finish the story. So once that happened, I think it was great because there was like a breastfeeding class.
Nice.
So I felt like I had a great class in a master class in breastfeeding. I never got the sore nipples because I was taught how to breastfeed properly. And I had this amazing Jamaican midwife who literally said, no, she held my breast. She's like, you put it in his mouth like this. He never sucks the nipple. He sucks the areola. I was like, right. Getting a grip of that. It was like a one-on-one class. Every day she made sure that I was looked after.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I had a previous, before I was put into that ward, I had an experience where I was having almost like menopausal. That was the other strange thing that happened to me. After giving birth, I had the sweats for like 5 weeks. And these sweats, no, not 5, 3 weeks. And these sweats is what people describe as menopausal. And I'm talking, I'll be sleeping, I'll wake up, the whole side of my bed wet. Like someone has splashed water over me. I was sweat. And I had a fever, a really high fever. And no one on the ward before would believe me when I said I was infected. Like I was like, I don't feel well. So Terry had to kick up a fuss. It turned out I had an infection, which is obviously the antibiotics I was on. And it's sort of, but I feel like the effects of that was that hot flushes. And it was this Greek midwife who just did not believe that she was like, but you're fine, you're cracking jet. But I literally felt so weak. I couldn't even lift my arm, and I was just like, I feel like I'm drifting, and I need. So thank God for having someone to advocate for me. But that was when they said no, but she's got an infection. Her and the baby have it. So they were taking care of baby, but they weren't taking care of me. And then after that, everything went smoothly. But that set of midwives were amazing. And my son came out because he was overcooked. He came out like an overcooked chicken. That boy was fried and that. Listen, his skin came off like snake skin.
Okay, when the skin peels,
the skin peeled, and I was like, are you supposed to be doing that? That's not normal. Is that normal? Please, somebody come help me. Why does he look like that? But after that, he was fine. So I remember going home, and the ride home, Terry was just driving normally, and he went over a hump.
Ooh,
girl.
C-section.
I felt that pain for 45 minutes. I was like, that? And that was 5 days after. So imagine. I said, see that pain? I've never felt pain like that. Even to this day. That fresh C-section where you've never had that sort of pain before.
Yeah, exactly. That's
out of this world. Really? So then when I got home, I think it took me about 3 weeks, 3 weeks to heal to the point that I could like walk around. 2 weeks I was fine. But 3 weeks so that I didn't feel pain like that, and I could do whatever I was doing. But again, I could only lift Tam. Tam was a heavy baby. He was 8 pounds. 8 pounds. Okay. 8 pounds 4.
And that's the heaviest. The baby's the only thing you should carry.
Yeah, but right? So they were like, no car seat, just baby is the heaviest thing you could carry. And you know, because he was the first grandson for like a long time, I'm talking everyone round the clock. I'm coming around to see the baby. I'm coming around to see the baby. I'm going around to see the baby. I was like, But again, at some points, I just went upstairs. I said, I've expressed milk. He's bottle fed. If I was having too many visitors, I'll go upstairs.
Okay.
And the thing they want to see is the baby, right? So you can hold the baby. I'll be upstairs and I'll just get a 2-hour rest because there was always someone at the house. So that made it quite helpful for me. And obviously I went through the whole baby blues where you kind of like, I don't know if it's mild depression or what, but you just feel out of sorts. But after I came out, that was okay. Yeah. It was fine. My second complete different experience because it was a pandemic, so no one was allowed to do anything. I went to all my
appointments by yourself, right?
The first 2 were fine, but I was 6 months when they announced the lockdown. Okay. So 31st of March, I was giving birth in July, so April, May, June, July. So I was like 5.5 months. So luckily, I told the photography lady, please, can I have a pregnancy shoot, because I didn't do it with my son, and I was like, I just want to have one shoot. So I had that shoot, and then literally that day they announced. So then I was at home, and I'd never had a maternity leave, so I had a by force maternity leave. Of course, so that was like the most time I spent with my son, the most time I spent with Tori. It was really, really nice. It was such a nice time, but then again, Terry couldn't come to any of the appointments. And again, this child, they were like, she's got a big head. She's growing too quickly. Now, if you have seen my daughter, she's a little bit. So only God knows why my belly was so big. There wasn't a person in sight that didn't tell me I was carrying twins.
Really? Everyone said, I hear this. Everyone says that your second baby, because your body has that memory.
My belly was long.
You get,
My belly, nah. Even I know. Like from you walk behind me, normal. The minute you come, the belly was long. And I'm saying, even when I was hairdressing, I was at least 2 steps back
from your client.
From my belly. Woo. Because the belly was so long and no one could fathom it. With Tam, it was tucked. With her, huge. And again, I kept that one a surprise because I was like, this is my last child. Okay. I'm not doing this again. So we're not going to know what this baby is.
The gender. Okay.
Until the birth.
Okay.
We agreed, we were excited. Yeah. And everyone kept on guessing, it's a girl, it's a boy. The witch doctors were all telling me their diagnosis. I was like, well, fantastic for you.
Thank you.
We'll find out when we find out. Yeah. So obviously the pandemic happened, so I didn't have a baby shower. I had a virtual baby shower, which was fun.
That's cute.
I didn't have anything like massive going on, but I was home. I had a really peaceful pregnancy, but that pregnancy now, every aches and pains that didn't happen with Tam happened with Tori. Okay. I was on crutches.
Wow.
Because the sciatica.
Sciatica. I forgot about that.
The sciatica. And then I had a condition that
Don't go on.
Itchiness. It felt like I had creepy crawlies inside my skin.
Yeah.
Every time, every night.
I had that. Yeah.
From, 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. to the point that, those welcome rugs.
Yes.
That's what I would use to scratch the back of my back. I'll be like this on the carpet, like, girl, somebody get me eczema cream. I think I could do a review on itchy cream because that poor man, I sent him to every pharmacy, every itch cream, every soothing. I don't even know why I don't have scars on my back because I scratched the hell out of my back. It felt raw, but I don't even have a scar to show for it. But I was welcome mat. You know how grizzly they are?
Yes, it is. That is coarse.
And it will just feel like something is crawling in my skin. So that happened for like about 4 or 5 weeks.
Isn't that not a condition for something though?
Yeah, they give you a medication for it. I actually went and got a medication for it. I had headaches. The migraines were blinding. But that only happened. I know people get nausea. I don't get nausea. I just get headaches. So I get headaches from like week 5 all the way to like until the end of my trimester, the first trimester. Wow. So about I would say about 5 weeks of just pure migraines, and then fine. And then the tip of that migraine will be a full day of throwing up until I throw out green froth.
Beautiful.
So that happened with both Tam and Tori. And then that's it. That's all the nausea I get. That's the whatever you want to call it. I get it then, and that's it.
That's it. Okay.
But then the migraines continues, and then I'm fine.
Okay.
And then around month 4, I had ligament. You know when your ligaments stretch?
Mm-hmm.
I had that for 4 weeks.
Wow.
I had the itchiness for another 4 weeks. And then I couldn't walk.
Mm.
Right to the end of the pregnancy, I had the crutches. Why do I need crutches inside my house, you may ask? Because I couldn't hop from one place to
No,
another.
because your body's obviously
My
now
body was
rearranging
doing too
itself.
much.
So you can't hop because then something might be out of alignment. And then you just got...
It was a madness. I went to my friend. I was like, Patricia, do you have those crutches? Because I can't get to a hospital because no one's... It's a pandemic.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm important, but not that important right now. People are dying. Yeah. I need to go. Do you have crutches? And her husband's a physiotherapist, so he gave me crutches. And I was on crutches for 5 weeks, and then I was fine. And then it was, again, 40 weeks. I went in for a sweep. And again, I had to keep on having a weekly, but they didn't have any issues with Tori. They were just like, she's growing almost too fast. And if she grows bigger than this, we're going to have to take her out. Because she's already 9 pounds and you're 34 weeks. That's really big for a baby. If she reaches this, we're going to have to take her out. And I just kissed my teeth. I was like, these children, listen, I ain't got time. If you need to take her out, take her out. I've done this before, I can do it again. I was much more laid back with this one. And anything that they asked me to come back for, I came back. As long as it didn't go the way with Tam, it was fine.
Okay.
So 40 weeks. And I decided, when I had this talk with my midwife, I said, if with this pregnancy, if I hit 40 weeks and I'm still, if you do a sweep and I'm going to opt for an elective C-section. Cool. And she was like, I said, I don't want to try. I said something like, I'm a lot more centered during this pregnancy. There's not noise. I have a feeling that I don't know if I'm going to, like, it just, and you're going to find this really weird. I said, I don't think I'm going to live if you go through that process if I go through, not that process again, if I push. Yeah. I was like, if I push and my body doesn't want to, I don't think I'm going to survive it. And it was a strong feeling even when I had Tam. After I had Tam, I dreamt like multiple times that I wouldn't survive my second pregnancy if I went through a certain... It came in different waves. It came in different ways. I would have dreams that I was in a car. It was always a car. It was always having an accident in a car, me driving, having an accident, and me and the baby not making it. Me driving, and sometimes she'll make it, sometimes I won't. I didn't know if it was a boy or girl, by the way, but I'm saying she because she's alive now. But it was always like, I don't think I'm going to survive. I don't know if it's telling me. And then the strong feeling that came with it was, I don't think I'm going to survive. I don't know if it's this pregnancy or next pregnancy, but whatever this option is that you're trying to make me do, I have got a strong vibe. I'm not supposed to do it. I have a strong vibe that I should opt for the C-section. So if it's not going to be, if it's going to go the way it went last time where we're kind of waiting around, I don't think I'm going to survive that. So I would like to, and she looked at me like I was crazy, but I was like, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. So I would like to opt for an elective. So they were like, but the way this works is that you either pick an elective or you pick the normal route. And then if you have an emergency C-section, you end up having, and I was like, then I would like to go for the elective. So that's how that went. And they made the appointment, and then they were like, okay, what date do you want to give birth? And I said, I'll push it until, like, I'll give her a chance. I'll give the baby a chance. So I would say if I'm 41 weeks, that I would have given it everything I can. I can't believe I was pregnant 42 weeks and then 41 weeks. I didn't even get a small break. So 41 weeks, 16th of July, I said, this is the day that I would choose. Because then Terry's birthday is exactly a week later. So I was like, we can't have the week of your birthday, me just having a baby. I don't even want to, I just didn't want to go through that again. So then it was very nice. We went at 11 o'clock in the morning, 3 p.m. She was born. She was there. So we went in, and again with that one, when we went in, I got the epidural. We just waited around. They did all the tests. They were like, oh, she's big. And I was like, yeah, I've been hearing that the whole pregnancy. Can't wait to see this baby. So then we went in, and, you know, me and Terry were like, oh, isn't this such a lovely experience? Like, we know we're going to have the baby today without a shadow of a doubt. We have an appointment. They've checked us. And again, every person that would come in would be like, why are you having, you're healthy? I was like, girl, my uterus is closed. it was open for business, but it's closed for an opening out. I just want to have this baby normally, please and thank you. Yeah. Stop trying to convince me with your medical thing. My body, my spidey senses are telling me this is the way it's supposed to be, and I've never had this such a strong feeling. So I'm gonna go with it. And the midwife was like, do you know what? You have to follow your gut, and I said thank you. Perfect. So we went through it. Went into the surgery room. They started, and then when they were cutting me open, I could see that something wasn't quite right. So when they were cutting me open, it's like normally you have the nurse that's in front of you that sort of like gives you gas if you need it or whatever. And I think she's probably up in the epidural, or she's monitoring that so that you're okay. Yeah. And there's, I think there were like 2 students. There were the doctors that were looking at the monitors, and then there was the doctor that was cutting me open, and then he had an assistant. All of a sudden, there was like a crowd behind him. Okay. And I was like, okay. And then I said to Terry, you need to go back there. I think something's wrong with the baby, because this doesn't feel like Tam. When they were rummaging through Tam, they kind of got to him quickly. But I'm starting to feel faint. Like I felt myself drifting. Wow. And he was like, but again, when I'm talking to him like this. So I was cool. And then I was like, I'm feeling myself drifting. So you need to go back. I have to laugh at myself because I don't know why I don't panic. And I'm not like, you need to.
No, so it's cool. You're cool-headed.
So I was just like, you need to just go back there because it doesn't. So his eyes got wide and he was like, you okay? And I was like, no, I'm feeling myself drifting. And then I went to the lady, is everything okay? Because it doesn't seem okay. And then she did this thing, because I'm a doctor of Grey's Anatomy. I knew I wasn't okay, because she was like, just something is, we just need to check the baby a little bit, because it's just not, something is
high pitched.
I said, girl,
tell me the truth.
Is my baby okay? She was like, okay, well, don't panic. And I was like, is my baby okay? She was like, we're just having a little problems getting the baby out. Okay. And I was like, okay. And then I started getting emotional, because I was like, well, what could possibly be wrong? Because I said, but I feel really faint and I'm starting to feel really weak and I don't know what's happening, but I feel myself drifting, and I'm feeling even like, I feel like I can't even get the words out. It's feeling like a struggle. Yeah. And I feel a heaviness on my chest. Could you please let me know? I don't want to die on this table without meeting my child. And I've already got like a 1-year-old at home. I'm having 2 under 2. I cannot leave my husband with these 2 kids. And she was like, I don't think it's going to get to that. I have to laugh, because what else can you do? And as they were doing it, then I could feel that they got her out. But then they rushed her over to the seat, and she still hadn't made any noise. Yeah. So she wasn't breathing. Yeah. Okay. And she wasn't breathing for what felt like 5 minutes, but it probably, in hindsight, was probably about a minute or 2. Still. But she wasn't breathing. Yeah. So obviously now Terry's with them, and she's not. I don't know what they were doing. Until this day, I don't know. He hasn't even told me. So he's just like, and then I hear him, and then they were like, what did the lady say to me? She said, my stitches had basically clumped together. They'd become one wound, basically. Okay. So they weren't layers of, they'd kind of become a keloid almost, and they were all stuck together. Yeah. So then the doctor casually said, if you want to have another baby, I would suggest that we have, none of us will be able to have another because once you have 2 C-sections, you can't do C-sections, right? Yeah. No, you can do other C-section, but you can't have a natural birth. Once you have 2 C-sections, you can only have another C-section. Okay. Well, any child that you have, even if it's 5, you can have 5 C-sections. So they were like, you won't be able to push. So I knew that already, but he was like, if you choose to have another baby, and he, again, in a higher pitched voice, if you choose to have another baby, we're going to need a specialist, because none of us will be able to handle, because of the way your body has healed. It's become one clump. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And he was like, I can't even say what that means, but we wouldn't be able to look after you. So I would suggest you don't have any more. And that was it. That's all he said. So I was like, okay. Thank you so much. How is my baby?
Why don't make me laugh? And this is like, wow.
How is my baby? Yeah. I mean, no one's telling me how my baby is.
So at this point, you're still on the table.
I'm still on the table. He's told me this information. My baby hasn't cried, nothing. And I'm just sitting there, like, tears welling up, because I'm thinking that Is she alive? Is she there? Terry's not telling me anything because I don't know if he's in shock or what. So I was like, guys, please. And then I hear her cry. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, one. She's good. And then I hear him say, yeah, I've got 2 boys and now 2 girls. I said, oh, so it's a girl, yeah? Oh. And that's how I found out I was having a girl. Because he got to cut the cord. So he was like, and then he comes over. I said, isn't this a bitch? Not me carrying her for however many months, nearly dying on the table, and you just announce it, having a casual conversation with, what about me? Oh, and he was like, oh, and I was like, it's a baby. And he was like, yeah, babe, it's a girl.
Oh, is it?
Can't believe it. No, I actually can't believe it. To this day, I was like, no, you're rude. Oh. So then he comes and then I'm crying. And of course, I'm the kind of mother that made sure that my photo op was brilliant. I had lashes done a few days before because why not? This girl was £9. Woo! And they were like, she's big. And my placenta was big, which is why I was so friggin' huge. Okay. But the girl had jaundice. Okay. So she comes out, she's got jaundice. So no, I can't go home. I have to stay in the hospital. And then after that day, so the nurse was nice. The midwife was lovely enough to let Terry stay till 10 p.m. So I had it at 3. Oh, nice. So he got to be with us. Yeah. And then we didn't see him again until we came out of the hospital.
Oh my gosh, because lockdown.
Yeah, lockdown. Oh. And that hospital was one of the only hospitals that we let the dads in. Okay. So he was definitely there for the pregnancy, for the birth, which we weren't sure about until a couple of days before. But then after that he didn't see her till she was about 4 or 5 days old. Oh, wow. So then I was in the hospital and she was jaundiced, but she wasn't jaundiced where she needed the light, right? The light. She was just, her eyes were yellow. They were like, we just need to make sure she doesn't get worse. So they were treating that, but I didn't have an infection or anything. We were just there for her. So once she was okay, she was sent over to a clinic that I would just have to go and visit during her a certain period until she wasn't jaundiced anymore, basically. Yeah. So she was £9 and she dropped to £7 within 2 weeks.
Of course, the loss that they have, right?
Because of the jaundice. Okay. And because of that, she was the best baby for those because all they do is sleep. Mm-hmm. They're so tired. But because she was jaundiced, she was literally sleeping even through the night. I had to wake her up to give her breast because she wouldn't do her feed. So that first 2 weeks, that baby, again, I was just checked to see she was alive because I was like, Tam was awake. I mean, he was sleeping, but you're really sleeping. So I had a few visits. I think with my borough, because I was in the Bromley borough at that time, the midwives were amazing. I got a visit all the time. Yeah. I didn't feel neglected during that period. And everyone kept on asking, why did you go for elective C-section? You're healthy. I said, we're not going to have that conversation. The baby's out. Thank you.
Oh my God, I'm getting angry. I was literally like, what the fuck?
Why did you keep asking me about my business?
There we go.
I decided to have a baby this way. Yeah? And they were like, because I was like, it's fine. Who wants to be pregnant for 47 weeks? Not me. There we go. That's fine. So she was jaundiced, and it was ridiculous how she dropped to £7. But the baby was 9 when she came out. Mm-hmm. And when you look at her now, she's so little, but you would never think that she was such a huge baby. Wow. But those are my birth stories.
Babes. I have been through a roller coaster and I've tried to shut my mouth so I don't interrupt you too much with anything. Wow. Just wow.
Yeah, it was a ride.
A heck of a ride. So many questions. I haven't even got to because obviously a big part of what you've shared on socials has been about hair loss and the journey there. And I still want to talk to you about how you manage the 2 kids with the business. There's so much I still need to talk. Okay, so my main thing was, how supported did you feel by the system, NHS-wise?
My experience was cool. I think with Tori got lost in the system because of the pandemic. I feel like with Tam, I know exactly, he had, maybe because he had Agenesis, I don't know, but they were more on top of him. We had a lot of growth. Yeah. Is he in his percentile? I remember me in that book where everywhere they made sure he had all his shots. They made sure everything was by the book. Tori didn't even, she only had 1 visit, and that's when she was 2. Okay. So apart from those first initial visits when she was jaundiced, after the initial 8 weeks, after she was born, didn't hear from anyone again until they were like, oh yeah, we just need to check that she's walking, she's talking, she's.
Thanks, guys.
So with Tori, no.
Okay.
The system, I wouldn't say it failed, but it definitely, it's like she was missing.
Okay.
She wasn't really, looked after very well in that sense. No one checked to see if she had all her vaccinations, and I purposely didn't do them on time with hers because she was home. There was no, like, she had a 16-week one when she was close to 1, I think. And then I just staggered them along, but she was always quite late until she was mingling with other kids. She went to nursery when she was 1, just before 1. Tam was in nursery when he was 3 months. And not free, like a nursery, he was with a childminder by 3 months. My mum did part-time, and then he was like 2 days at a childminder who was my aunt. So, she was literally around the corner from the salon. So I got to see him a lot, but at the same time, and also for the first part of his life, he spoke French.
Oh, that makes me so happy that
he literally he understood French. So they blame, a lot of that was also like, oh, the reason why he's not speaking is because he's processing 2 languages and he's got ACG. And I was like, girl, okay, well, whatever.
If that's what you say.
I mean, he rebukes French now, but that's his choice.
Oh, does he?
He doesn't want to speak French, and that's fine, but whatever. My daughter, she's an English girl.
Yeah?
That girl, I don't want to speak. I said, you know what? You're going to learn French because it has greatly helped me. Yeah. And it's just nice to know 2 languages. Mummy knows 2 languages. Don't be like your daddy. Don't be an English
best.
He tries his best, but, don't be like that. So, so with both of them, I felt more supported with one, but I don't feel like I felt neglected. I feel like by the second time, you kind of know what you're doing.
I was going to say, because you know so much now.
Yeah, and also you realise that so many things they bang on about, you don't actually need to do. You just need to make sure that your child is eating, breathing. When there's a problem, you go to the doctors. If you don't feel heard there, you advocate for yourself a lot more. So I definitely didn't feel neglected per se, but there definitely wasn't that much focus on her like there was on him. And because I had 2 under 2, it was easier because they were so close together, because he turned 2 months after she was born. So that 2 under 2, girl, if you've done this, shout out to you, because that bedtime routine for a newborn and then a baby,
I can't. And the regressions and the changes, and then the something changes in the day, which then ricochets and impacts how you put baby down. And you've got 2. I can't even fathom that.
Luckily,
right now.
The nursery that he went to during the pandemic, I think, once that's the first wave went, so he was home for 3 months, and then there was like that July phase where you could be open, and then everyone was like, nurseries and stuff like that started to open. He went to nursery for that period of time, so I did have time when I was at home. So he was there like 10 to 6, so I had the day to sort of be with her and nap and sleep and do whatever I needed to do, because he was also, I still wanted it to be in a learned environment, because I felt like being in the house was not good for him. So that was that. That was that.
Sorry, it's just the smile on your face and then the ease of it. I'm like, wow. How was your head? You mentally?
I mean, I definitely feel like therapy would have been a great help during that period of time. But because I had such lovely support, and anytime I needed to talk about anything, I could always talk to my husband about it, and friends, even though they didn't always know what was going on. And when I said not going on, like in the house, they knew a brief, but it's different when you live in the house. Anytime I felt stressed, someone came round. And I also tried to, like, we were outside as much as we could be, even when apart from that first period when they're just born, they can't come out. I was outside. I was outside in pregnancy. I was going to the park. I got as much fresh air as I could with Tam. As soon as he was born, I did a lot. My friends included me. And again, this is why I say, like, I still felt quite included. And I always had a babysitter. There were 10,000. My husband's sisters were not that different in age. They're younger, but they're like at the time they were in their late 20s, early 30s. So he's always got cool aunts. And then he's got loads of cousins who were like 24, 25. So because that was the first set of cousins that they had that were so young, and the only ones, Tam got to do everything. Tam and Tori, they get to go everywhere. They get to do it. They go fun fair. They get talent shows. So in that sense, during that period, I didn't really feel like I missed out on anything. I I don't remember feeling depressed apart from those baby blues, which are rough.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I've always had a very well balanced support system. I am my mum's only child, so she has no one else to worry about. Yeah. I am the main focus. So in that sense, every time I need her, she's there. Yeah. I try not to take that on, but also the greatest help, especially in this transitional time where I'm and I'm a lot more focused on work and I'm doing a lot of things. I've got a nanny. Yeah. There's no way. If you think I've got it easy, it's because I've got a nanny and a village. There's no miraculous, I don't split my time. I got someone in to help with that, because after a while, it's also, I need my kids to also be on point with certain things. Yeah. I need a nanny. I need to find the money to get
that support.
That support. Yeah. I need someone to, the laundry, I cannot do. The feeding, I cannot do. So I need someone whose sole purpose is to look after my children and make sure they have the things that they need after school so that I can get on with the work, because I can't do both. So, and that was my husband's idea. At first I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I chose to have a baby. We chose to do this. We must. You would think it's the man. It was me.
It was you.
It was me. I was like, no. Why should we spend? We should. And he was like, the kids are going to go full time to nursery. I was like, but they need their mother. He goes, and I will enroll them to nursery 5 days. Because at first it was 3 days. Yeah. He was like, you need a day. On the days you're off, you need to sleep. You need to watch your TV programs. You need to still be
I was about to ask you, how are you coping with the TV programs and stuff? Dude.
You need to do the things that you need to do. Otherwise, you're going to start resenting me. And I was like, no, I'm a mum now. And he was like, I'm going to put the kid. So they went to nursery full time. He was like, we have the money, we can do it. Wow. So, 2,700 every month for those kids. And then he was like, well, now we need a nanny. And I was like, no, we're spending so much money already. And he was like, you need a nanny. You're working really hard. And sometimes you finish at 8, but you're here at 11, 12. Yeah. And then he's like, and you want to do all these things? You need a nanny. Yeah. And then my mum was like, I can do it. And I was like, no, you can't. You need to be a grandma. Because when I want to go to the cinema, I want to call you. But if you're a full-time nanny to my kids, it don't work. Yeah. So then everyone has the role that they enjoy.
Nice, though. That's sensible.
And even today, the kids are with the nanny during the school holidays when they're not at summer club. She looks after them. She takes them to all the things that they want to do. If they want to go to a farm, she goes with them. It's nice. Yeah. I just do the admin. She does all the stuff. And I know that food is sorted out for them because they have their little things that they like to eat, and I don't want to eat that. And sometimes they have their little picky things that she sorts that out. And then when I come home, they can crash into my room and Zoom past and do all those things, but I know there's someone there to look after them. Okay. So I'm still present, but I'm able to just be mum. Yeah. And I'm not stressed out that I need to cook, I need to make sure, oh my god, I forgot this. So now if I forgot something, I don't have to have a babysitter for 10 minutes and drag my mum to the house so I can go, I don't have to pack them in the car, I can just get up and go. So it just makes life so much easier, and we've had her since my daughter was coming up to 1, so it's been 3 years. 3 years. And they know her. She is their third grandma. And it's just nice to know that we have just that third person. It means that there's less pressure on him, there's less pressure on us. It's hell of expensive.
I was about to say, how sorry, I don't even want to know the cost. I don't want to know. Cause
I just know that but when I calculated it, I spent over 40k on child and I strongly considered sitting on my ass and
I'm gonna be a stay-at-home mum. It's fine.
No, be a stay-at-home mum. Get the racking those benefits, sister. I just couldn't. I was just like, it's just not me. It's never been me. I can't do it. But you know what? Whatever. We're just gonna roll with it. This is what I know. Yeah. I mean, the greatest day was when Tam started school. I was like, oh, look at those savings. Oh, look at that. I mean, it felt like I was rich. Then I said, oh. But still one more.
There we go.
And then this September, there's no more.
Okay.
But there's no more at singing. So now they can do, piano lessons, guitar lessons. Karate. Because we have money. We have extra cash. So now they can do the extra stuff, the things I wanted them to do. But I was like, it's either I choose peace or you get to do all these things. Now, I had to sacrifice a little bit last year, which I was a little bit sad about, because I was like, no, they should have everything. But then you realise how important is it for a 2-year-old to go to ballet? Like, seriously. I feel like you need to do phonics. So I'm going to teach you some phonics at home. We're going to do fun things, painting and stuff like that. But now you're 4 and 5, you can go to ballet, you can do cheerleading, you can do stage school, you can do all the things, you can do football club, you can do all those things, because now we can learn to swim. You can do taekwondo, because now we have a budget, and that budget it's what we were using for the child support. Yeah. But now it's about you having skills.
Was that I know initially you said your partner was very much this is how we're gonna, I guess, set up our support system or support structure. Did you find that difficult to adjust to? I know you were laughing, but no, I'm a mum, I'm gonna be here, and then he didn't.
It was so difficult because, again, in my mind I was like, a mum, my mum had to do things because she was a single mum. I have a husband, but he's also an entrepreneur. He doesn't have a 9 to 5, so it's just like, oh, okay, so this is not actually how it works. That we actually have to partner in this thing. And that was quite hard for me because, again, like I said, I had an idea of what kind of mum I wanted to be. It wasn't so much the mother that I was just like, no, this is the kind of mum I want to be. I want to be the mum that's always there for her kids. I don't sacrifice the time. But when I think back to it, I had to actually have a conversation with myself and feel like, did you ever feel like you missed out because your mum was at work? Because, my mum used to go to work and do a night shift, and I would know to come home from school, and in the microwave I'll put my food on, and I'll go and eat. And I knew what the routine was. But then my mum also spent a good part of that married to somebody who also was at home with me. So I was just like, when I thought back to it, I was like, well, they had a whole partnership on how they made things work, because she wouldn't go on a night shift if he was on a night shift. So it would, once she'd got a partner, it was completely different. But when she had to do it by herself, obviously I wouldn't even say be a grown-up, but there's a lot of things that I know 7-year-olds don't know what to do. I need to grow up early. Whereas I don't think my son, let me tell him, I'm even going to put the bin outside. As I go outside, he'll go to the door, because he's like, where are you going? Strangers are going to come and get us, mummy. You cannot leave us by ourselves. What will we do? We don't do that. We're just children. Bro, relax. I'm going to put the bin out. I'm going to stay by the door and make sure that's what you're doing, mummy. Oh. Okay. Relax. And he's just like, I will not relax. Oh, okay. So he's not equipped. And I can't see him being equipped because, he just gets to be a kid. Yeah. So that's nice. I think for me, I just had to get over myself. I was just like, how do I expect to do all these things? And I had to have a really hard conversation with myself. But then the great thing about Terry, he doesn't have these, he talks to me about it, but he just puts things in place, and I'm like, oh, that's just made my life so much easier. Nice. Rather than fighting with me about these things, he's just like, I know that I won't be able to do this because I'm concentrating on this. Yeah. And I know you want to do this and you're going to try and concentrate on this, but I also know you're going to let these things distract you. Yeah. You being away from the kids does not make you a bad mum. So you need to do these things. And I would give him a hard blink, and he'll be like, you need to do these things because this is what you're about. And you've always been about that. Do not give parts of yourself away when you don't need to. You have the support system, use them. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not. He's like, you have the support system, use them. These options are options for people who do not have the support system. They don't have these options. So it makes sense that you have to make a sacrifice. You don't have to sacrifice. You just need to make sure you implement guidelines and rules that everyone follows. We're not saying that we're going to give the kids away to 10 different people. Yeah. We're saying that they have a nanny. Yeah. And when we are not around, they have a nanny and your mum. And then if your mum wants a break, they can go to my mum's. That's the train. That's the guide. So what are you saying? I didn't have anything to say. And then, So yeah, it was difficult at first, but then once I still have a little bit of mum guilt sometimes because now my kids will try and turn it on me and be like, "Mummy, don't go. I don't like it when you go out." And I'm like, "Child, please, I'm going to a podcast. I'll be back at 3 p.m. What are you saying to me? It's 9 o'clock. Been home every day." So now it's like a joke in the house. I'll be like, "Mummy's going," and it's just like, "Oh, okay." My son always wants to know where I am. Yeah. And then my daughter is always going to try and cry. But when I come back, she's like, "What did you bring back?" And I'm like, "Nothing." "What do you mean? Acting like I'm some missing mum. I'm here all the time." I mean, because of that, I've now got the luxury of, because I put in the work, I'm able to take 4 days off work and only work 3 days. So now I get to spend more time with you, but I had to do the work first. So now I'm home with them all the time. They can't get enough, but I still need that nanny because I still want to work from home because there's so many things I still want to do. So it just has made life easier, but the hard stage was hard. Definitely it was difficult because I felt like I was missing things, but I never missed any major things. And it's just like, if you're a mum and you're missing what you feel is the important stuff, all your kids need to know is that you love them. And they want to be heard. They want someone home to do the stories. And what I started doing was, I wouldn't do the stories at bedtime. I would do them when I'm going. So I might do the morning before they go to school. So I'll be like, "Mummy read you a story." So I'm not going to read it at bedtime, but I'm definitely going to read it. So I'll read it so then they'll know that Mummy read to them today. So rather than making it like, because in my head it was like, they have to be read at bedtime, we have to sing together, we have our little ritual when I'm home and I'm putting them to bed, we have our little ritual that we do. But if I'm going out, like let's say today I don't feel like doing that tonight, or I'm going to be doing something tonight, when I get home I might read them a story, and we've had story time. So we switch it around according to what my schedule will be, and they don't care. They don't. I mean, the films will tell you, "Daddy, you didn't tuck me." They don't care. Those kids will run into bed and sleep. So it's just like, your kids will adapt to the way. Yeah, the way that's literally
what you taught them to know. You, as you've just explained, you adapt it to your scenario, your situation. That's essentially it. What works for you and your family is what works for you guys.
When I was doing the pop-ups, I was like, "Mummy's gone on a little adventure. What do you want me to bring you back from New York?" And they'll be like, "Next time I want to go to New York." I was like, "We're going to have our own little holiday in Tunisia." So it's just like, it's just that sometimes I'm just like, I need to get away from these kids. They're too loud. And I will escape to one of my friend's house and be like, "I'm going to be here for 3 hours." Because the amount of times I've heard "Mummy" in the last hour has traumatized me.
Right now, I'm loving hearing her say "Mummy." I'm like, "Oh my God, she's saying "Mummy." I'm in that space.
My daughter says it to me, and it feels like it feels like she's gonna tell me off.
Oh really,
"Mummy?" And I'm like, "Mummy, Mummy," and I'm like, "But why are you shouting at me?" She bellows it out, whereas Tam is like, "Mummy," and I'm like, "Oh, that's still nice to hear." She bellows it. I'm like, "Girl, stop talking to me like that. I don't like it." But yeah, that's girls for you.
Here we go. Can we touch on the journey of the hair loss? I feel like you actually shared quite a lot on social media, and I was always avidly watching what happened, why it happened, what you've done to sort of help improve, tackle the situation. I really want to make sure I tackle that, and I also want to talk to you about how you managed to have a business, remain creative, because hairstyling is creative work for sure, I think, and then be mum.
Okay, so hair loss wise, I was a self-made hairdresser before. So before I actually enrolled in doing hairdressing, I very much did it all myself. And when I did it all myself, I realized that in my younger years, braiding was not the best thing to do with my hair. But when you're young, your hair is strong. But then I did braiding probably when I was 15, and I had 2 bald patches and they never grew back. So I don't know whether that played a part, but then apart from that, my hair was fine apart from those 2 patches. So then as I got older, and I think the continuous braiding and stuff like that, by the time I became a hairdresser, I realized the damage that I'd done to my scalp in terms of like the tight braids and stuff like that. But I'd also given my hair a break because I was relaxing my hair. I had a pixie cut, I think from the age of like 19, between 19 to 22, I'd had a pixie cut a few times over. But obviously when you go back to school or go back to uni, you braid your hair in between because you can't go to the salon because where I was, there were no black salons. So I juggled with that for a bit, and then I became a hairdresser. Then I started studying hair, and I was working in a salon. So I was again relaxing my hair. So there were no issues.
Yeah.
Then the Chris Rock natural hair thing came out. I went natural. And then wigs were popular, and I started braiding my hair in these tiny cane rows to make sure that my hair, and I just started noticing that hair was thinning a little bit, and I thought, oh, I've seen this on my mum, so I wonder what that is like. I wonder if it's hereditary. And I happened to go to a show with a brand in Paris, and there was a trichologist there, and she was like, oh, you're losing hair in the middle of your head. And I was like, aha. And then she sort of like diagnosed. She was like, you know, you should definitely stop doing braids, maybe opt for flat twists instead. But yeah, some of these follicles look like they're dying. You definitely need to implement something. And me with my bright self, instead of actually doing something about it, getting medication, minoxidil, something, I just said I'm going to relieve the pressure. So some of it grew back. And then I was fine. I wasn't losing density like that. Then I had TAM. When I had TAM, I lost hair, but it was like 1 week I had hair, and then the next week I didn't have hair. It wasn't on the pillow. It wasn't in the bath. I don't know where it went. I don't know what the missing link was. I don't know when it happened, but I just remember one day, hair completely gone. So I then went to wigs because I was like, I don't have time. Then I popped a silk inside, and maybe about 6 months. Yeah. So it happened for like a week, very short term. Wow. And then I looked at it. I looked at information about it, and I saw this American dermatologist talking about PRP, and it wasn't something that was available here. And when it was available, it was like £1,000 per session. I was like, anybody got time for that?
What does PRP stand for?
So it's platelet rich plasma, which is when they take your blood, turn it into plasma, and then inject it back into your skin or hair to help bring back. And this particular dermatologist had a baby, and postpartum made her lose her hair, so she was doing PRP on herself to see if it would work for that. And within like 3 sessions, her hair started growing back. So she was saying like, this is something I've tested on myself, and this is how it works. So that's how I found out about it. So then I was like, nobody's got time for that. And let me tell you something. When I have my second child, I'm gonna get a hair transplant. That was written down, because I was like, this first pregnancy did not go so well. The hair is thin. I've completely lost density, and I don't know whether it's contributed to the fact of me not doing something about it prior to. And now it's a worse situation, which is why I always bang on about, if you have an issue, go and see it straight away, because you could save yourself the problems. So then after time, I took my vitamins, blah, blah, blah. My hair came back as much as it could. So I would say if it was at 90% before, it came back to 75. Okay. That was after time. All right. Then I got pregnant with Tori, and my hormones were not balanced, because it takes about 2 years for your hormones, about 2 to 7 years, if we're actually talking facts. So I just settled into being a mum. Yeah. No, I think it was after his first birthday. I was pregnant with Tori. Yeah. Yep. You said that. Yeah. It's not enough time. So when Tori now came, and I remember I was like, oh God, I'm going to lose my hair again. I just know it, but it's fine, because I've always said I'm going to have that hair transplant. But now you have to make sure that you're able to have a hair transplant, because you still have to be a candidate. Yeah. So then I did my... Oh, yeah. I had this plan with no backup. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. So I had her 6 months in. I contact them. I was like, I'm going to get a hair transplant. Can I take a picture of my hair? They're like, yes, you're a candidate. I said, yes. We go into the pandemic. I cannot have my hair transplant. Yes. Pandemic. So we've gone into the pandemic, not even 6 months. I think it was 3 months, because I think you have to be 6 months and over. So like stop breastfeeding and stuff. Oh, right. So for your hormones to start regulating. And then they started. So I was like, oh, I had booked it for September, the September following her birth. No. December. So she was about 6 months when I had planned to do it, which was about November. Okay. Couldn't do it then. All right. So I was like, so I'm going to be bald? I'm going to be a bald bitch? Oh. Because with Tori, finished me. Tori finished me. And the ludicrous thing with Tam, He came out of my womb with a head full of hair, thick hair. So when my hair went, I was like, at least it's gone to a good cause. Tori came out with one piece of hair here, one piece, 2 islands. I was like, how can you take away all my hair and there's nothing to show for it? This is absurd. I was so outraged. If you speak to anyone, they'll say, all I talked about in that birthing room, where is her hair? I'm sorry, what happened to this child? I was so annoyed that she came out with no hair. I was like, no, you being the girl, are you going to have hair? I don't understand. She just this. It was wild.
There we go.
So she took away everything. I had patches, like literally clumps of hair. As I was washing my hair, clumps of hair. I remember crying to friends on the phone. I was like, I've never seen my hair drop out. Yeah. Dare I say, it actually I just had chemo. Like it was clumps and clumps of hair just dropping off, and I would have shiny pieces of hair, and I was just like, have I developed alopecia? Because I don't understand why it's happening. And they would stay smooth when other bits grew back. Nothing was happening to those pieces. Like my hair was like, I'm never coming back. So I was like, well, it's definitely time. So out of the pandemic, I booked my appointment, and it was September at first, but then it had to be, I think it was she was born in 2020, so it was 2021 that I did it. 2021? It's not been 3 years. 2022. January 2022 I did it. But by that time she was already like 1+. Yeah. So it delayed me for ages. But again, I just wore wigs. I grew my hair. And then that summer I said, if this is the last hurrah, because I don't know if it's going to work. Because when they talk to you, they're like, it's going to have 80% chance of working.
That's right, yeah.
I had 2021, I think from like maybe March, and 2021 March, I took my hair out of the braids. I was like, okay, this is as good as it's gonna get. So I just relaxed my hair and had it like this. I was like, Pixie's where I love to be. So I wore my hair like that until September, because I was due to have it in January. So I was like, I'm gonna shave my hair off, and I'm gonna give my hair time to grow in case something is happening. It gives me like 4 months to take vitamins, make sure that everything is good for this surgery. So that's what I did. I wore wigs and I just grew my hair. And then I get there, they're like, yeah, we need to shave your hair bald. I was like, oh, I don't know. That's a look.
All that work. Okay.
It's a very strong look for me. But if you know me, you know I don't give a heck. So I was like, right, I'm gonna be bald until I don't have to be bald. And I went around bald with these incisions everywhere. So I went to Turkey, did my thing, came back, and I was bald for a month until my hair started growing in. And obviously the bits that were done just looked crazy. And I was like, okay, I can't walk the streets like this. I don't care, but I also have, we have to be serious in life. So I did that, and then once I could wear my wigs, I wore my wigs, and then again 7 months after, so January 2022, and then September 2022, I said I cannot do wigs anymore. That summer was the hottest summer.
Yeah, no, I remember.
I was and also because since that transplant, my head was extra sensitive. I used to go to the bathroom and spray aloe vera underneath my wigs because I was so hot. I said, this is not a life that I want to live. And my hair was getting high. I couldn't cane row it. So it's just like I was patting it down with mousse. Yeah. And I was like, at what point? So what am I trying to say here? Am I saying that you grow your hair to hide it? I'm gonna have to try and be an example. I actually really like my hair. So I'm gonna wear it out, because prior to this, my hair's always been out. Every time I've had a wig, it's been because of something. So I'm just gonna have to wear it. Even if it's a little light in certain areas, I'm gonna have to brave it and just let my hair be aired out. So I just wore my hair out, and I wore it out until, I haven't worn a wig since. I mean, I tried last November and I put it on my head and I said, no, I can't do this, because the cane rows, everything was just too much. I was so stressed.
Too much pressure, or you just didn't like the sensation anymore?
I was just like, what? I don't know what happened to me. I used to love a wig, but I'll put it on, I'll be like, oh, it's too tight. All day. I went 2 weeks, bought 2 wigs. One of them is sitting down, never done anything to it. And I was just like, I don't know what's happened. So then once I took it out, I was just like, I need to find my style again. I love my Afro. I love it. I think pixie afro, perfect for me. And then the pixie like this, perfect for me. Those are the 2 styles, because I was like, at this point, if I want long hair, I've got long hair at home. I could just pop it on if I'm really if I really need to. But I worked so hard to get my hair back, I might as well enjoy it and showcase it, and I've done so much to it. So that was that. And then the second part of the question, how do I juggle work life?
That balance.
I don't have a balance. I just go week by week. Some weeks are great, some weeks are not. Again, like I said, the fact that I have a village really, really helps. It helps that I have my mum. It helps that, I mean, everyone really communicates well as well. My mum will tell me, okay, I'm going away. I'm going to Ivory Coast for a month, so I won't be around. My nanny will tell me I'm going to be away. So once that happens, is like my husband works away from work, so he works in South Africa a lot. So then I'll be like, you need to be home, because I cannot be by myself with these 2 kids, because this is my schedule. But then earlier this year, I was like, right, so what happens if every single one of them goes? What are the days that you definitely have help? Wednesday to Saturday, that's when my nanny's here. What days do you absolutely need to be at work? Thursday to Saturday, because those are the busiest days. And I said, I'm going to go part-time, because that will help. It means I'm with the kids when I need to be with the kids. It means that when I'm traveling and doing pop-ups, I can do those pop-ups in the first part of the week when I don't need to be at work. Because what was happening is everything was happening, and it was just like, I can't take time off when I'm needed at the salon. Whereas if I'm not supposed to be there, I can do whatever I need to do. So now the juggle is I just do it according to what works for me. And I do it according to what works for me solely. And then everyone else on top. That's including my husband. And not because he's not there, but just because he works away. So it's like, I can't really include you in this plan. But he's very much included in the plan, if that makes any sense. So it's like, he does the best that he can. But if you're working away for a month or whatever, or you're going to be here, I cannot include you in it. I have to just work it as if I'm by myself for, okay, we know that we're going to be doing this for a year. So for a year, I'm going to do this schedule. And when we're back in the same house and you're only traveling for the weekend or whatever, then we're going to do it this way. So I just sort of like every January, I look at what the year has in plan, and then I just work with that. And then every week we kind of work with the schedule that we have. If someone's sick, we da. But now that I'm home most of the time, it makes life a lot easier because I know that the kids are definitely going to be in school during this particular 9 till 3. So if I've got something to do during that day, that's my work day. My work day is 9 till 3. And then after that, when they come home, we can do reading, we can do this, we can do that. Mondays and Tuesdays, we don't have the nanny. So I'll make sure that during that time on a Sunday, which is normally my day where I sort out their dinner, sort everything out. And then I went and got a puppy.
Oh, yeah.
I said, oh, do you know what? Life isn't even that stressful. It's life. Not only life is not that stressful. What's life? It's not stressful. I'm gonna add a dog,
a young creature that needs
because
real hands-on attention.
I really always wanted a puppy, and I said I will make sure I get that puppy. I've been talking about this dog since I started hairdressing. I said I want dog. I want dog. Yeah, because if anything, before you kids, I want a dog. So let me go and collect my dog. They were like, you can have kids. I was like, let me tell you something. Before I knew I wanted to be a mother, I knew I wanted to be a dog mum. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go collect that dog. That dream is being
actualized.
And then I have a daughter who loves dogs. So I was just like, she wants a dog. And I've always wanted a dog. So I think I should have a dog. And he was like, in the mist. I said, in the mist. I'm going part-time. I want my dog. Wow. So I got my dog.
How's that going?
It's going. It's going. It's better than it was, but it's going. Because my dog is active. And then I looked around and I said, no one tells you. I thought when they come, they just sit down.
No, babe.
Now I found out, The day he came, the way he cried that downstairs.
Yes.
I said, so I have a newborn.
There you go.
Kai.
I
just want spending money. So I said, so that nursery fee's going somewhere else.
Somewhere new.
Okay.
That's what it was.
I have a dog.
So I don't play. My partner is dog obsessed, to say the very least. Very like.
If anyone's going to get a dog out there, I urge you to only get a rescue puppy.
Okay, why?
Because they already come trained. And when I say they already come trained, I'm saying, obviously do your research, because some rescue puppies are traumatized. Don't go get yourself a traumatized dog, Make sure you go and get a dog that comes from a loving home, and maybe the owner died. Maybe... like a lot of my clients, they couldn't handle having a dog because of the pandemic or life changes or moving away to another country and they couldn't bring a dog. That dog is perfectly fine. But guess what? He's been in a loving family, trained, and just needs a new home. He's a 3-year-old, quiet, and you just need to,
does well with kids.
They will tell you. They'll be like, does well with kids, doesn't like kids, likes this, doesn't like loud noises. The dog comes with a whole profile.
You got fresh.
And I just said, no, I want to go collect him 3 hours from where I live. And I want him to be me ass. And my kids are going to love it. Listen, we did not love it.
Oh, God. What dog did you get? What breed?
I got a mini poodle, and I wanted a brown mini poodle because I'm black and I want my dog to be black.
Okay, got ya.
Yeah, I didn't want a black dog because I just had this illusion of me going down the stairs and then seeing this black dog with these black eyes. So I said, I want a brown dog, and I don't want it to be auburn like everyone wants. I want it to have hazel eyes.
Oh, hello.
Because
Specific.
Character, please, or blue eyes. I want him to look like he's a black dog. Come and see me now. Now the dog is waiting outside for me when I go to the toilet. When I'm outside my room, he's waiting outside waiting for me. When I come in, I said, this dog thinks I'm its mum. Like, for real. And then my kids, anyway, I have a dog. I love him. He's my whole world. He's my whole world. But my dude. I have a dog.
What's it called?
He's called Coco.
Hi, Coco.
I mean, the kids wanted to call him Zuma.
Oh, Zuma's cool. Oh, yeah, of course.
And I said, my husband wanted to call him Thor.
Fun.
And then we wanted to call him Stark. Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Iron Man.
Love it.
And then I said, and then my friend said, oh no, Terry said, let's call him Loki. I said, mischievous.
Yeah.
No, we don't do that one. We don't want that. But you know what he is? Mischievous.
Okay. So Loki incarnate anyway.
So, Coco, the kids have a song for him. Coco in the loco. I said, you know what? You're not wrong.
A loco dog. In the loco.
He's wild.
That is just...
So his nickname is Zuma, apparently. Learned that 3 days ago. But it is my greatest joy to see them merge with this dog and grown with him. Because even though it's only been, 9 months?
Okay.
It's been 9 months since we've had him, because we got him in December. He's lovely, but he's a lot of work.
And the thing is, I know, sorry, there's always the argument. My partner really wants us to get a dog at some point. I'm like, unless I'm in a hot country in Ghana where they can roam the world in the yard and think, no, I don't want to have a dog.
Do you know what? Things have changed. So when I went to South Africa, I was like, oh my God, in Africa, the dogs are for the roads. No.
They have them in the homes now.
They have them in the homes.
I get it.
They have puppy.
They
have puppy there. They have puppy babysitting. I was like, Africa's not the Africa I remember.
I used to know. Okay. I'm clinging to the Africa I used to know, because I'm like, no.
The dogs are not for the streets. Even when I went to Bali, I was like, no. So these dogs, they go up the street. They come back home. They don't sleep outside. It's not a community dog anymore. It's very much your dog.
I am.
So now I'm just like, mine's a city dog.
Yeah.
That guy's a city dog. I let him out. He comes back to the door. He's like, bruh, I don't know these streets. These streets are dangerous. There's other dogs that bark. There's foxes. I want to be inside my home. Like, one time he ran out. I said, oh God, he's gone. He came back. He was like,
Never again, Mum, I'm sorry.
Now he just, if I'm out, he's very close. I'm like, I thought you like being outside. He's like, I don't want to be outside anymore. So yeah, me and Coco were together. So yeah, having a dog is definitely, it's a new dimension that I didn't expect. But he's my greatest joy alongside my kids.
No, but I do love how, as you said, he's integrated so well into the family. And so I guess I always hear great things about, yes, having a dog can be whatever it is for the parents, but for kids, they also learn to look after something, someone else, and to love something else, and get to learn about responsibilities in that way, which is wonderful.
And I also learned, a part of me, and it's still with my son, one of the decisions is teaching him emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think, because that was one of the things, they're like, oh, you might not have emotional intelligence. And I was like, well, I don't think so. I think I think having a little sister has been the greatest thing, because he's got someone to look after and blah, blah, blah. And he takes great joy in being her big brother. Like, this is great. It's an accomplishment. The first 6 months, he completely ignored her, pretended she wasn't alive. But then at the same time, he also made sure that if she was crying, he would like peep and see like what's going on there. But now, she's my best friend. She's the only person I care about. And Tori's just like, well, Tammy's the only person. She's the only person she's ever known with. He remembers a little life before her, but she's his best friend. And I was just like, I want you to be able to not look after, but have that emotional intelligence for. I think a pet is like something that kind of fuses a family together even more. So yeah, I mean, he's the greatest annoyance for my husband.
Did he ever want to have a pet?
He just wants what I want. He wants to make me happy. Okay, I don't think this is a choice. If he could have chosen a life, I don't think a dog would have been a part of it, because he likes clean things. Yes. Dogs mean dirty things. I am more the messy, clean person. He verges on OCD. So, when a dog wants to pounce on the bed, he's like, absolutely not. You're not allowed in the bedroom anymore. And the dog comes in, and I've had to teach my dog to wipe his feet when he comes in from the bathroom.
That is adorable. Great.
So we wipe, because if he then comes and jumps on him and there's a inch or something, if he's collected some grass that's got stuck in his mouth, he's like, I've got to. Okay, we understand. You don't do well with outside coming inside. Oh, when he poos in the garden, there's flies in the kitchen. I said, okay, but we didn't know this before. Now we're going to get rid of it. It's his first summer. Okay? We're just going to have to work with the dog. So, yeah. So, that... Coco versus T. Sometimes Coco won. Sometimes T 4. Okay. So, I'm just like... But he's disciplined before it. Yeah. And I think he loves him really. Okay. I think he's going to miss him when he's not around, because he was sick maybe like last month or the month before. He had an ear infection that we didn't know he had for 3 months. Wow, okay. And he had to be hospitalized for the day. And when he came back, Terry was like, but he's not the Coco I remember. And I was like, not you loving Coco. He's like, he's just so quiet. And he would go up to him and be like, Coco, you're not going to bother me today. And he was just like, And I said, you see? And that's how he worms his way into your heart.
Now you know how I feel. True dog mom.
I'm like, look at him. There's nothing he can do that's wrong for me. Just like there's nothing my kids can do that's going to... It is what it is. I'll be like, well, we're just going to have to teach them to do better next time, aren't we? And then, Tam's done this. I was like, well, we're going to have to teach him. Come on, kids, this is what we don't do. We don't do this, okay? There are repercussions for them. What do you do to a dog? What are you going to do? Keep him outside? How cruel.
How cruel.
So, gosh. I'm a dog mum. I'm proud. I am the person that stops other dog mums on the street and say, oh, what do you have? I have a poodle at home. Is that a cockapoo? Is he too? Mine's a puppy.
Oh my
god. Me. Welcome.
Oh my gosh.
That's me.
New face.
Oh my god. I'm terrible.
Oh my gosh. I don't know who's gonna win this hot dog battle with my partner, but I'm like, unless I think
it's gonna be him.
No, I can't. Like your partner, the cleanliness, this. And also, who's ultimately going to look after the dog? It's going to be me.
Do you know what? I think the reason why this works is because I've taken the whole responsibility. But then when I first did it, I was still working full time. So everyone, it was the community dog. My mum had him for 5 days when I was at work, and I collect him after work. And that's when he was still a puppy. But now I'm like, you know what, guys, I really did ask for this. So I'm gonna make sure the majority of the time he's with me. So now I have him 4 days, and then he gets babysat 2-3 days, and he can stay at home. I've taught him to be at home by himself for 6 hours with no one. Yeah. So even if I go to work, I can say, Mum, you can go pick him up. But then my mum also loves him. She'll be like, my Coco can't be inside a cage for no. So she'll come and collect him. So, you know, we're the same. But yeah, juggling life and babies has been the greatest challenge. It's still challenging. I don't think it's ever going to change. I always think it's going to be quite manic. Yeah. But at the same time, it's an organised mess. That's what I like to call it, an organised mess. I'll be really lying if I said it does get better. But with every better comes a new challenge.
It just changes, right? Different phases as
the kids get older, there's different phases. Like, I could be like, the summer holidays has been great. Yeah. It was better than last year. But last year, we had one child in nursery, one child who just graduated. So he was in limbo and he was just enjoying, because up until all he's ever known is being in full-time education per se, because nursery was school for them. But now it's like he's got his sister this summer. Yeah. So now he's doing summer with her. And then this year was a transition because she left that nursery, the private nursery, to go to a public nursery with him. And it was good that because they were having different lives. Like, she'll be at nursery, which she took really hard. She was like, but Tam's not with me. And I was like, but Tam is older. And she'll be like, but Mommy, I want to be where Tam is. So that was like 6 months of waiting for her to be in his school. And when she went there, to her greatest surprise, we're not going to be in the same class. No. He's older than you. Yeah. So now she's just like, she's accepted it. So now she's like, I'm going to be in Tam's old class with Tam's teacher, and he's going to be in year 1. Okay. And we're going to. So now it's like they're understanding life a little bit better, which is really nice to see. Their communication, their personalities coming out. They're able to tell me what they don't want to do. And I'm more interested in making sure they have skills. I feel like when I was younger, I was, again, our parents were doing different things. Some people, I know people that did piano. My mum just tried to survive. So I didn't dabble in a lot of things. Whereas my kids, I want them to dabble. I want them to play tennis. I want them to be able to do certain things. I want them to have activities so that they have a skill. Because the skill that I had was hairdressing. I did hair, but that was self-taught. I don't know. No one taught me, because no one in my family knows how to do anything. My mum is the only person that knows how to plait, and she couldn't braid with extensions. So the hairstyles I wanted, I had to do for myself. So that's the skill that I self-taught myself. But I want my kids to be able to play piano, play guitar. Like, my son's interested in tennis. So those things are skills that, you know, I think I picked up tennis because we did that PE. So then I went on to do, so the stuff that we did is the things we did in secondary school or school as part of something, and then I just carried them on. Whereas with my son, I want him to start from young. And I want Tori to start from young. She's really interested in ballet. She wants to do cheerleading. All of those things, I'm like, I'm going to do all those things because my mum didn't have the extra cash. I do. So we'll budget for the things that you want to do. And then we'll do the things that I couldn't do. We didn't get to go on so many holidays. But my mum made sure that we still went to different parts of London or the UK during holidays. We went to Paris, went to Ivory Coast. So, you know, she's typical African. We go to the places where we can speak the language. But we don't do big things like my friends who went to America. But I still got to go on holiday. I could still come back and say, I went to summer club this week. So I want my kids to have those same experiences. I think it would be nice for them.
When you entered into your mum phase, and I ask every mum this question because I feel like it seems to ring true, what new project did you start? I feel like for some reason, motherhood, or the newness of motherhood, always coincides with a new project that people seem to want to get involved in. Did you have that? With either pregnancy or after either birth?
I think after having my daughter, because I said to my husband when we first, when I had Tam, I was like, right, I'm going to dedicate this time to just growing the salon and growing that brand. And I'm not going to put me on pause. I'm still going to do what I do. But I'm not going to do it to the capacity that it can, because I realized very quickly that motherhood is a full-time job, and I'm also working full-time, and I won't be able to have the same time that I had before. That single / being in a relationship time, it's not the same time that you have. Even that entrepreneurship not having time is still not the same as being a mum. So I said, my time is so limited, I'm going to focus on the salon. So I spent the next 4 years focusing more on the salon, making it grow. And then when I had my daughter, I said to him, you've got 2 years. Me being pregnant, me having children, that's your time to shine. As soon as this child turns 1.5, 2, or she goes, I'm going to start backing me again. And I'm going to come back with full force. And I'm not going to have any regrets because I've given 4 years of sacrificing and giving, I'm giving you a head start basically, because we're both entrepreneurs. So I do understand that we both can't do the growing part at the same time. So you've got these next 4 years. I mean, I didn't even give him 4 years. I said you've got the next 2, because I said this during the TAMS phase was more the learning phase, and then by the time I had Tori, I said I know how this goes. The next 2 years are not really it's crucial development for the child. So and now I have 2, so I can only imagine that I'm going to need time. It's not like I can just give a year. So you have 2 years, and then once that is over, I'm going in. So 2021, I was like, I'm taking no prisoners. I'm going to do what I need to do, because I want to be someone that my kids are proud of. Yes, I have a shop, but who is Marie? So I want to be the best person. So I became my own project. I was like, I'm going to be me. Because one thing I know about a man is that he's never going to not put himself in a Superman. I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to do all the things I need to do, because, well, maybe it comes with being the provider. So they have to. But I'm like, I want to put my best foot forward. I think I've done enough sacrificing. I think we can both do this now, because you've had time to do that part. And I've also had my little foundation in the background. Like, the business is doing well by itself now. I feel like I've got the team that I need, and now it's time to focus on me, and I can focus on me and then still divert that to the business. So I'm going to go back to being that person that was like me when I first started YouTube, because all I had to worry about was me at that time. I'm going to go back. I said I'm going to be as close to that person as I can be, because that person was hungry. And I think the older you get like, oh, my kids. I said, no, me. Because without me being that person, I'm not the best mom I could be, because I'm resenting something. I don't want to resent anything. I just want to do the best that I can do. If I choose to settle, let that be my choice, because I've decided, but don't let that be the circumstance of my environment. So that's when, like, he was like, oh, you can't do all of that and I was trying to do it all, and he was like, that's not how it works. You can have it all, but only through organization, and this is not organized. So I don't know who sold you this dream, but you cannot be everything to everyone. And because, again, I'm a pro in Grey's Anatomy.
That you are. Go for it. Go.
Bailey. There was a point where in Grey's Anatomy, Bailey had her Tucker. She had Tucker. And she had the clinic. She was trying to be, I can't remember if she was trying to be, she was a general, she was trying to diversify, I think, have her speciality. And she was trying to do peds, or she was trying to be, and her mentor was so upset with her, because it was like, all this time I thought you were going to be a general practitioner like me, and instead you're going to be in peds. You're taking the easy way out. And she had to let go of little pieces so that she could focus on the thing. And she was like, I have to let go of small pieces. And I don't know why, but that scene has always stuck with me. And I wasn't even a mum when I watched that, but that scene has always stuck with me. And she always, in that scene, she's very much like, I have to let go of the small pieces because I see the bigger picture. So I had to let go of the things that weren't that important, because the bigger picture, in the best way possible, is me. I'm the bigger picture. I need to do the things that I need to do so I can feel fulfilled, so I can be the best mother I can be, because without those things, I'm not going to be the best person I can be, because I'm going to always feel like I'm missing something. I don't feel like that now, because I'm actively doing it every day. So, kudos to you, Grace. Forever grateful to Shonda.
What can you give me with this whole journey thus far? What is your biggest love, your biggest takeaway, and even maybe your biggest struggle?
I think my biggest struggle to this day, I can't believe I'm a mum.
Yeah.
That's number one. So I don't struggle with it, but it's definitely sometimes life can be so hard. Like literally, it just, for no apparent reason, you could just wake up and be like, oh. And again, you could be sliding down a wall and your kids are going to be like, Mummy, is there any chocolate? Mummy, is there? And you're like, wow. Don't give a heck, do ya? Okay, well, all right. So it's that's the biggest struggle is that there's no off button.
Yeah.
And that the break, it only happens if someone physically comes and takes them away for the weekend. And I'm lucky enough to have that. So I do get a lot of times when during the summers, for example, all the kids, everyone wants to see them because they know they're off. So they get to have a time. They get aunties taking them here, and again that still has to be organized, but they have time to do things. So when they do those things, I get time. But if that doesn't happen, if there's a week when that's not happening, I don't have that time. And sometimes that happens to be the week when you catch a cold, that same cold that your son brought home.
It's finally now just hit you
because he didn't wash his hands properly, that comes. And my greatest love is my family. My family is probably the greatest thing I've achieved so far, because it's nice to see my little minions, a perfect combination of me and Terry. I think I love him so much, Terry, and to know that I've had these two offsprings from the love that I have with him makes me really happy. And then my dog
Coco,
which is like a childhood dream, so it's really nice to have those things, but again, it doesn't come easy. It's very hard. And I just know, I feel it in my bones that I've made the right decision. And I think also one of the lessons that I've learned is to always follow my gut, like be very in tune with my gut. If for some reason, if I don't feel like something is right, I tend not to make a decision about it at all. That's been my greatest guide during this time. Even like I've been looking for a shop for 2 years, and every place, there was a place I could have gotten, I walked in, I was like, it's not the right place, it's not the right time. I've paused because my spirit is telling me it's not the right time. My mind is telling me it's not the right time. Every decision that I've made is when I've been in sync with myself. So if I feel a little bit out of sync or something's not right, then I tend to take a pause and try to figure out what that is. So I think listening to my inner self has been also my greatest achievement, because listening to that is all the great decisions I think I have made has been because I've been in that, listening to myself. And if I'm sleeping, I feel like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. That has been like the greatest gift, is actually listening to myself, finally giving in to listening to myself, because I've gone against it for so long.
Nice. No, that's a great way to put it.
Like there were so many times when I was just like, no, but society's telling me I need to do this. It will make my mum so proud if I did this. It will make, but my dad that wasn't really there for me, he would be so proud if he walked by and saw how much. Now I don't give a heck. You don't like me? That's fine. You don't like what I'm doing, Mum? Nah, it's okay.
I love you.
You live your life because you're still alive. And I'm living mine. You don't like my decisions? Turn away. And I'm very happy with that. Like if someone says to me, what? I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to like my decisions. I'm always going to communicate what I'm doing though, because I feel like the people involved in my world deserve an explanation, and that I think for me has created peace and understanding. So nowadays I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this from now on, because I feel like this will be great for Tam, because have you noticed that this happens when this is, so I think that this will be good. So when I explain it, I don't have that backlash of people being like, oh, but you made this decision, you didn't even talk to us. No, I just have a family meeting. I say, everybody, we're going to do this because it has come to my attention that this is happening, and I think it'll be really good if we are doing this, because I feel like this particular person in the family will thrive from this. What do you guys think? Most of the time it's like, oh, I think it's a good idea. I didn't think of it like that. And it's fine. Rather than announcing it's my child, because I also recognize that without my village, I am like minus. I'm in a big minus. So from the nanny all the way down, like obviously Terry's the first person, but all the way down the train, including the kids, I tell them what's happening. Yeah. And I think that has been, obviously not the stupid little things, but even down to the fact that I wanted a dog. Yeah. It's a major thing that happens, but it's going to change everyone's life. It was going to change my mum's. It was going to change Terry's, everyone. So I had to have an okay from everybody. Yeah. And it's only like in December I had an okay. But before that, if one person says no, then we don't do it. And that's the rule in my house, is some things maybe we don't do it because it has to be a full-blown yes, which means that everyone has to understand. And then once it's a yes, okay, then we can do it. If it's a no in for any shape, form, even down to vaccinations, if, okay, I don't believe in vaccinations. And I'm like, have you read all the information? Because it doesn't sound like you have. Okay, I'm being ignorant. Okay, do you want to listen to it? Because I can't do this without your okay. I can't make a decision about our children without the person that helped me make that decision. I think that creates ease and understanding in the household, and then it creates trust, and it's something that I learned through business. It's actually something that I learned through the salon. Even down to people who you are employing, they need to know what's going on, because when you know what's going on, you feel part of a community and you feel like your opinion is heard. There's no one in the salon that cannot say something and I'm not going to listen to it because, well, you make it work. So if without you, I wouldn't have a business. I would just be self-employed. So,
Marie.
Small.
Andree Marie.
I can talk, you know.
Me. Hey, my friend. I've loved this episode, yo. I'm so excited. No, babe, thank you so much for sharing as much as you have done. Yeah. And in the way that you have done, I think there have been gems upon gems upon gems. I'm leaving here inspired myself, because I'm in a space of like, okay, how am I gonna do it all? In the best way possible. And I just love how you've stressed the importance of being organized and communicating, which I think can be something that can fall by the wayside sometimes when you're
definitely
just in your mummy space and not necessarily always overwhelmed with stuff. But if you think that you're having to make all the decisions all the time, or it's all on you, it's very easy to kind of just sit in that space and then be overwhelmed and not be as clear-minded or as intentional as you want to be. So I think it's been great that you've highlighted that and how it works for you in your day-to-day. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today.
Happy to talk. Woo! I'm not talking about hair today. That's nice.
Hey loves, before we sign off, just a quick note to remind you that everything shared on this episode is based on personal research and personal experiences, lived experiences. I hope we were able to give you some food for thought, but please make sure you conduct your own research and speak to your healthcare professional if you have any questions or concerns. Okay, with love, catch you on the next one.